Hello, welcome back everybody. Today is Super Bowl Sunday because we're going to be making some soup today. Welcome back everybody to the Dough Cooking Show, to the Dough Cooking Stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful, lovely day today. Hello to October's Blue, hello to Dennis, hello to Jack, hello to Moonhum, hello to Liam, hello to you ears perked up, hello to Lego Batman fan, hello to Good Widow, hello to Liam, hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Kaze. Hi, I'm sorry if I missed any of you. It's good to have all of you. I missed you all so much. It's good to see you guys. I don't know what my hair looks like right now. Also, hello to Girthiest. Welcome on in. Also, hi to Jack. I'm doing a ponytail today because I feel like it's kind of cute, right? Look at that movement. And on the back end of it, it's pretty nice. Yeah, I want to do a ponytail because I'm just like, hey, you know what? I've had enough of my hair getting like in my food and stuff like when I cook. So I'm finally tying my hair up. I'm finally doing the thing. I hope you've all been having a beautiful day today. Today is a Sunday. If you're watching this live, it is 5 p.m. Eastern time. I'm happy to have all of you, and I'm happy to cook what we'll be cooking today. There's lots to talk about. We're gonna be making some like really simple stuff, some really simple, some pretty healthy, relatively speaking, for me, like home cooking. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be quite nice. Also, hi to T. Welcome on in. Okay, let me have a little sip of water, and then we'll talk about what we'll be doing today. Okay, so chat. We have been making on stream lately, I feel like, a lot of really, really heavy things. We've been making a lot of meat dishes, a lot of stews, a lot of like really, really like rich stews. And so I wanted to do something a little bit lighter today. We're going to be doing another vegetarian stream. We're going to be doing two things. We're going to be doing this really lovely kale tomato soup. It's going to have a mirepoix, being onions, carrots, and celery. It's going to have some zucchini in it as well. It's going to have a bunch of kale. Let me show you and walk you through all of my produce for today. And so to start, because we're making a kale tomato soup, I already have here, ready to go, an entire big bowl of kale. Sorry, I'm trying to make a thumbnail. Can you guys tell that I'm trying to make a thumbnail here? Something like that. Yeah, so we have a big head of kale here. This is a very nice time of the year for kale, by the way. Kale's pretty nice and cheap at supermarkets. Things like kale, things like collard greens. Moderator, can we please get somebody to fix that in chat? Thank you very much. So guys, I love having kale in soups. I love having kale in soups because of its like very like curly texture on the outside of it. It does an excellent job of picking up a lot of broth with it. Okay, it has a lot of surface area. It picks it up. The bite that you get out of kale in like soups is really, really pleasant. I love doing soups with kale. So we have a big head of kale here that's already been washed, already put through my salad spinner. Guys, if you don't own a salad spinner, then you should. Okay. Salad spinner is one of the best kitchen investments I've ever made. Okay, so we have a big head of kale, and then the next component that we have for the kale tomato soup, guys, we have a bunch of tomatoes and zucchinis. So we have 3 plump tomatoes. We're going to be chopping it up. We're not going to be doing anything too crazy with it. We're just going to be very gently processing this. We have some zucchini as well, just something really, really nice for us to be able to bite into, like a really, really pleasant texture to have in the soup. And then we have, of course, the French Trinity, the mirepoix, my friends. We have the celery, we have the carrot, and we have the onions. You don't necessarily have to use any of the things that I'm using today. These are just going to be the base of the soup. These are what's going to then flavor the broth. This is going to give us a lot of flavor. We're going to be chopping everything nice and small. These are our 3 aromatic components. We're going to be frying these in a little bit of olive oil. Okay. And then, what do we have? I also have these 2 potatoes that I wanted to get rid of, so let's put them in the soup. Let's get some potatoes in the soup as well. It's nice to have something nice and starchy from time to time. So I have these 2 gold potatoes, these 2 white potatoes. Yeah, just a little something for us to be able to bite into. So we have a simple soup ahead of us today, my friends. It's just kale. We're going to just do vegetables. It's going to be really nice. It's going to be really pleasant. And, hold on, I'm going to get it out of the fridge right now. I still haven't done so. We're going to be garnishing the top of it with a bunch of Parmigiano Reggiano. I have a block of Parmigiano Reggiano, and it's just going to be really nice over the soup. What I really like doing with Parmigiano Reggiano, as I'll show you, I'll be using a vegetable peeler to get like a bunch of like really, really nice shavings to put on top of the soup itself. Also, really quickly, guys, excuse me, just have to do something. Moonha, can you please take care of that person in chat? I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing for the soup today. And now, guys, let's talk about our salad. I have here, okay, I actually don't know how to show you without pouring out all of the liquid. Okay. I have a big bowl of chickpeas that I've had soaking. Everybody, we don't use canned beans on the stream. I never use canned beans anymore because they are so expensive for what they are. I have some chickpeas here soaking for digestibility reasons, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay. So a bunch of chickpeas, a whole pound of it. I'm going to be showing you how to make this in a pressure cooker. We're going to be making a really, really nice salad out of it today. It's going to be nice. It's going to be tasty. It's going to be delicious. I think everybody should be making their own like dried beans from scratch at home. They're so much cheaper than canned beans. And that way you get a lot of control over the texture. You get a lot of control over the texture. So really, really good to have. Okay. So those are the chickpeas. And then I have a big old loaf of bread. We're going to be making some croutons, some homemade croutons, because those are the best kinds of croutons. Store-bought croutons are way too expensive for what they are, and it's a very nice way to use up stale bread. I don't have stale bread at the moment. This is just a fresh loaf of bread that I wanted to use up, and we're going to indeed be using it up. So I'll show you and walk you through the process of making croutons, and I think, everybody, that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions before we begin? Excuse me. I dropped my iPad holder because I'm holding up my chat. Let me just take care of something really quickly. Okay, lovely. Okay, everybody, we're so back. I apologize about that. Okay, hi, hello, we're so back. So, everybody, are we ready for today's stream? Are we all ready? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching, if we're ready for today's stream. And then we'll begin, because we have quite a bit to do today. We have quite a bit to get done. Today's going to be a fairly chill stream. It's going to be nice and healthy. It's going to be nice and delicious. It's good to have all of you, by the way. I missed you all. Also, welcome on in, Eat Dirt. I see that it's your first time in the chat here. Welcome on in. So the order of operations is we're going to have to first start by making what we need for the chickpeas. So everybody, let's head on over to the stove really quickly. And I want to talk about it for a second. I have right here my pressure cooker pot. Okay, this is my Instant Pot. I love using a pressure cooker for making any kinds of legumes. Black beans, chickpeas, you get the idea. Okay, it's a very, very nice, even and efficient way of cooking a lot of them at once. Sometimes cooking beans can be quite inconsistent, depending on the size of the bean, and it can also take like quite a long time. I love using a pressure cooker to make that process a lot simpler in a home setting. Okay, you don't have to use this, but this was one of the best ways that it got me started personally, cooking a lot of beans at home. So I'm going to show you exactly what we do. We're going to need about 1.5 quarts of water. The ratio is you want like a pound of beans to like 2 quarts of water. The reason I'm using 1.5 quarts is because I already soaked these in advance. Okay, my chickpeas have already been soaked. They've already taken on quite a bit of moisture, and we don't want it to get too soft in the pressure cooker. The amount of water that you're using, same way that you would be cooking rice, it does matter. Too much water and it can end up getting mushy in that cooking process. So we're doing about 1.25 quarts. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a very nice way for us to get started with some ratios. Okay, and a little bit more. What's nice again about like a pressure cooker pot like this is it shows you the measurements. There is no exact science to this. This is just a very general ratio. Okay, a little bit more. But yes, so ultimately, again, everybody, I want to get you all into the habit of making your own dried beans from scratch in a home setting. It's so much cheaper, you're going to be saving so much money, and these are so nice to either have in your fridge or in your freezer and then to be able to use for a lot of things. My issue is with canned beans is that oftentimes they're way too soft. Let's say you wanted to do like a chickpea salad, you take it out and the chickpeas are mushy on the bottom. If you wanted to do a chili out of those chickpeas, then it's perfect for it. If you wanted to do a salad, then maybe not so much. So when you are cooking your own dried beans, you get to be you. That's right, I'm talking about you. You get to be the one in control of the texture at the end of the day. So, I have a pound of dried chickpeas that I've had soaking in water for digestibility reasons. Although you don't have to at all. It's also going to expedite the amount of time we need to pressure cook it. I don't typically do this. It's just that I've found that sometimes chickpeas have given me a bit of a stomach ache. And so this is something that I've started to like doing. Also, welcome on in, Blobfish. Also, everybody, I forgot to mention it. Really quickly, for those of you that have not already done so, please check out my Patreon. Type in ! Patreon if you want to support the stream. I do want to say we hit 2 milestones. We hit a milestone on the YouTube channel. We've hit 700 subs on the YouTube. Also, stupid Blobfish, thank you for the sub. We hit 700 subs on the YouTube channel, and we hit $200 a month on the Patreon. Guys, your support really helps me to be able to do this as much as I am. I want to be able to do this full time for all of you. So, if you haven't already done so, type in ! Patreon, or scroll down, or go into the About section. Okay, so, once again, we have a quart and a half of water, and we have a pound of chickpeas. And now, let's talk about everything else that we need in this. We don't need a lot of seasonings, we don't need a lot of flavors, but we're going to throw in a couple of aromatics just for it to have a little bit of something. Okay, so let's get that started now, my friends. Also, hello to Kitsune. Hello, hello. So, we're going to be throwing in 1 onion. And we don't really want to actually chop this onion at all. We just want the onion to be able to impart some of its sweetness, okay, into, we just want to get some of the allium flavor, we just want to get some of the sweetness, some of the aroma of the onion itself. So all we're going to do is just cut off the top and the bottom of it, but we're not going to chop it, because if we chop it in the pressure cooker, we're going to get a bunch of like small pieces of onion that are then just going to dissolve, and you don't want boiled onions in a salad. At least I don't think you do. Chat, do we want boiled onions in a salad? Is that what we want? And again, you don't really have to peel it either. It's just that I didn't choose to like wash my onions or anything. We are just going to make like an incision on the top here, just to help in the process of peeling this bad boy open. Come on, out you go. That's it, that's all we gotta really do for it. Minus this section is still like kind of on the onion. So this part I may just end up chopping off entirely. Okay, there we go. That's just 1 onion. Guys, we're keeping it whole intentionally so that we can then pull it out of the pressure cooker. The point of the onion is just for it to impart a little bit of aroma, just for it to impart a little bit of flavor. You do not want to chop this onion, because otherwise you're just going to get a bunch of boiled, dissolved onions in your chickpeas, which is not what we're looking for. At least that's not what I'm looking for. Okay. How did Chef get taller since last stream? I will never show you my ways. Okay, let's talk about what else we actually want inside of the chickpeas themselves. Again, we're intentionally keeping these very plain because we're not going to use all of them for the salad today. Some of them will get used in a salad, and then some of them will get used later on. So we want to keep the flavor palette of this fairly neutral and fairly blank. If you know that you'll be using up all of these all at once, you can season these however you'd like. Okay, but I'm keeping this intentionally as a blank slate so that we can then later add on to it. And then part of that is just going to be, okay, you know what? We're going to get, let's get a little bit of garlic in here. So I have a nice new fresh head of garlic, and same exact idea with the garlic as the onions. You don't want to necessarily like chop these at all. We're just going to give them a little smush so that we get some of the garlic flavor out. Otherwise, the garlic isn't really going to taste like anything at all. We just give them a little smush, and that's it. So, get my handy dandy little bench scraper. Wait, where did my bench scraper go? Am I crazy? Guys, chat, where's my bench scraper? What's going on? Did I put it behind me? I swear I had it out on my cutting board. It was on my table the whole time. That's okay. That's fine. I'm not upset about it. That's chill. So, everybody, we're just going to give it a little smash. We're just going to give it a little tap. Again, we don't want to chop these. We don't want to mince these. We don't want to do anything crazy with that. We just want to gently flavor the chickpeas. Okay? And again, the skins, they'll end up naturally floating to the top. So we're just smashing it so that we can extract some of the flavor out of it. Into the pot it goes. Okay? And now, let's do a couple of bay leaves in here. Also, everybody, I think I've made, we did a couple of camera updates. Let me know what you think about it. I think my front camera and my stove camera, they both look a little bit better now. I don't know if you guys remember how it looked before, but I think we've made a couple of improvements. I changed some of the settings around with some help from a friend. Okay, bay leaves. Really, really nice universal herb. You see bay leaves used in almost every single cuisine. It's just going to give this a little bit of extra herbaceousness, right? A little bit of extra flavor. So we're going to go in with 4 bay leaves or so, something like that. And again, they'll float to the top. We'll easily be able to pick them out. Also, thank you, Jay. Okay, everybody, and that's it. That is all the work that we need to do for these chickpeas. The only thing left is we just need to cook them. Moonha, I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll find out. Guys, making your own dried beans from home, from scratch, are really, really easy. Okay, they're really, really simple. And this is something that everybody should be getting into the habit of doing. Okay, because you're going to be saving so much money, and then you get to also control the texture of the things that you're making. We added the onion, we added the garlic, we added the bay leaves for just a little bit of extra flavor. We're keeping this intentionally bland so that we can use this for a salad, we can use this for anything you want. Normally chickpeas I would cook for about 30 minutes or so in a pressure cooker. Because these were already soaked, I'm only going to cook them for around 25 minutes. Worst case, if the 25 minutes they're not done by then, we'll just open them up and then be like, hey, we'll just pressure cook this a little bit more. Okay, so high pressure, 25 minutes. Everybody, if you have a pressure cooker at home, this is one of the best ways to make good use of it. I always use it for beans. Everybody, can I please get a yes, chef? I want to make sure that everybody's listening. I want to make sure that everybody is paying attention. I'm going to go put this on my pressure cooker. High pressure, 25 minutes. And then we'll see what it's like. If you're not using soaked beans, for a salad, you want to do 30 minutes of high pressure. Okay? But because of the fact that we soaked it a little bit beforehand, it's expediting the process. "26 minutes, doesn't really matter. High pressure, 26 minutes, and then hopefully they'll be done. And if they're not, guess what? We can always just close it back up, we can put the pressure back on, and we would have wasted a little bit of time, but it'll be okay at the end of the day. Okay, so let's take a little sip of water. What's on my shirt? Go work your cringe 9 to 5. I'll be gaming. I'm kidding, I actually don't play a lot of video games. I do mostly cook though. Okay, does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, goodbye Tuna, it was lovely having you. So, that's the stuff that we need to get done for the chickpeas. And now we can just talk about the soup. The soup is the thing that's going to end up cooking the longest. So let's get into all of the vegetable prep that we need to get done for today. I have not played Cooking Simulator. I don't know what that is, stupid blobfish. So back to the cutting board, and as always, everybody, my cutting board, it is secured to the table with a nice wet paper towel, just to make sure that it doesn't slide around, okay? So it's nice, nicely adhering to the table. I've not played Life is Strange. I've not played The Last of Us either. I don't think you understand how few video games I play. Played a lot of Smash, play a lot of Binding of Isaac, but very few of it. Okay, so let's get into the aromatics. My friends, this is in French cooking known as the mirepoix. This is known as the Trinity. This is carrots, this is onions, this is celery. Okay, the reason why this is such an important thing to remember is because contextually in a lot of European cooking, specifically in a lot of Italian cooking and a lot of French cooking, this is the base flavor that makes up a lot of stews, a lot of soups, a lot of stocks. You see this combination of ingredients everywhere. Does that mean that you have to necessarily stick to it? No, but if you want to make something taste just, I want to give this a European vibe. I want to make this taste a little French. I want to make this taste a little Italian. This is your base set of aromatics that lets you do that. You can leave in which ones you want. You can take out which ones you want as well. Okay? It's completely up to you at the end of the day, but the reason why I'm choosing these is because I had all of these at home already. I had some old carrots that I wanted to get rid of, I had some old celery that I wanted to get rid of, and I had some old onions that I wanted to get rid of. This is what I mean about also home cooking. We're looking at what we have, and we're looking at the best way to use it up instead of always going out and buying everything. This was all stuff I already had, and this is all stuff that I wanted to use up. This is going to be the base of the soup. We don't want these to be in massive pieces. We want this to be finely chopped so that they basically melt into the soup and impart all of their sweetness and their aroma. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're just going to combine all of it together. It's all going to cook together at the same time. We have these 3 really small carrots. We have 3 big stalks of celery, and then I have 1 onion as well. The onion is going to give some sweetness. The carrot is going to give some sweetness, some more like of those like earthy notes, and the celery is going to give some herbaceousness. So let's just go through these one by one. We got to peel these bad boys as well because I didn't want to really scrub them. So let's start by just peeling some of the carrots. Can we also have a practice of sometimes saying things that can be subbed in if there's an ingredient missing? Oh, Tarina, yes, what I'm trying to say is you don't necessarily always need a substitute. If you don't have carrots, then you don't need to add carrots. The carrots, they just add their own sweetness, but it's not like they're essential to this. Guys, we're making a soup. Nothing that I am teaching you here today is a recipe. I don't want to teach you recipes, I just want to teach you techniques. If you don't have carrots, use other root vegetables. How about a parsnip? How about a rutabaga? How about a turnip? How about a sweet potato even? Okay? But nothing is exactly going to be the same as a carrot. Things are just going to be different, and that's okay. For this kind of a dish, guys, this is a soup. We are making a home-style soup. This is not a recipe. Does everybody understand? I want to hear a yes, chef, from everybody watching. This isn't a recipe. This is purely technique. This is purely theory. I don't want anybody to recreate the soup. If I see any of you recreating the soup exactly, I'll be upset. I want you to look at the vegetables that you have in your fridge that are going bad that you want to get rid of. And I want you to use those to make a soup. All I'm showing you is the technique and the theory and the methodology behind it. Okay, so everybody, carrots. Look how tiny and pathetic this carrot is. You could have scrubbed it. I didn't scrub it. I didn't want to really wash it. We're just going to go ahead and peel off the skin. Again, not essential if you do indeed wash it. Oh, guys, this carrot is pretty pathetic. You have leftover green beans. Perfect, Kitsune. You're going to add those at the end of a soup. If you're making a soup, you're going to add them in at the end and you only want to cook them for like maybe 10 minutes or so. But the beauty of a soup like this, or rather the difficulty of it, the challenge of it, the challenge of making a soup is knowing how to synchronize all of your different components. Because all of these vegetables, they do cook at different times. And so we'll be talking about that. The way that you have a perfect soup is understanding, hey, when am I adding each vegetable to make sure that none of them get overcooked, to make sure that the right ones get cooked at the same time, to know which ones to cut bigger. And guess what? I'm going to walk you through all of that today. So the carrots. We're just peeling it up. Again, we're getting rid of all the peels. Exactly, it's a rhythm game. Sure. Well, rather, it's an orchestra. A soup, more than anything, I consider this like an orchestra. Right? You have to know when and when to start things. And why the gloves? I don't want other people to really be using gloves. I'm just using gloves because I have eczema. And so extended exposure to things that are like wet or acidic can make my hands really, really dry. And so I'm just protecting my hands this way. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut off the tops and the bottoms. You can also save this for stocks, right? The tops and bottoms of these because they still have some flavor. We just don't want to eat a chunk of that or anything. And so everybody, the size that you cut these is also going to be entirely up to you. The smaller you cut these, the less you're actually going to feel them in the end product, the less you're going to feel them in the soup itself. But the more flavor they'll impart to the broth. The bigger you cut the pieces, the more of a chance that you'll bite into it. I don't want my carrot to be a textural component. I don't want to bite into a big piece of carrot. You can do that if you want to. You can make big pieces of carrot if that's your intention. But with this soup, I want it to be all about the kale. I want big pieces of kale. I want pieces of potato. Okay? And so that's the reason that we'll be doing a fairly small dice. Does everybody understand? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This carrot's kind of small. We can't really cut it the way I usually like to. Let's also make sure that we have a plate or a bowl to put this on after. Okay, I think that should be good. Okay, let's go ahead and we're just going to cut it down like this. Just slice it in half. Everybody, don't chop. Use the full length of the knife. Just slice it down. And then we're just going to cut these into little sticks, like so. And then maybe one more time. Because we're just looking to get like some batons like these. And then we'll just cube it up. Again, I'm looking for very small cubes. And the reason for this is because I want my carrot to melt into the soup. I don't want big, crunchy pieces of carrot. I don't want to bite into it. That's purely my intention. And that intention, guys, is entirely up to you. You can do with what you want with it. Because guess what? This is your soup. You're making your own soup at home. All I want to teach you all is there is no right or wrong way to do things. You just have to know your intentions when you're cooking. You can have incorrect execution, but your execution is purely relative to your intention. Having big pieces or small pieces of carrot, not one of these is necessarily better than the other. The only thing that could be bad is if you did not get the product that you intended. Everything is relative, especially in cooking, my friends. So we'll go ahead and continue just to get this into little batons. This one I don't even have to cut anymore. It's super, super tiny. Okay, and the last one. Go ahead and take that and cut that in half. Okay. 1, 2, give that a nice little rotation. 3, perfect. Next one. And so we're just getting this motion done, and then we're gonna cube it up. It's gonna be perfect. Does anybody have any questions so far? Remember, for anybody else that's new here, you can ask me anything that you want about food. It doesn't just have to be about this dish, because my goal is I want to help all of you learn how to cook at home. And before we do the soup, we just want to get all of the prep work done in advance so that we're not just jumping in and out of the kitchen. Okay, this guy, I think I can just cut him directly in half like so, and then we'll cut it into quarters, and then we can stop there with him. He does not have to be cut any finer. Can you still use a carrot if the middle has gone a bit soft? Yes, you can. As long as it doesn't smell off, look off, or taste off, then you can use it. I have a question. What's a banana? Stupid blobfish? I don't know if I can answer that question for you. Okay, so we had 3 small carrots, and now we're just going to take a little bundle of the batons. Okay, all the batons are roughly the same length. Okay, guys, we're just going to stack it up, make sure that it's nice and flat against the edge of the knife. Okay, and we're going to cube it up. And listen, you don't have to put this much effort into getting perfect little cubes like I am. It's not necessarily essential. The reason why I'm doing this is because I like doing it. But the reality is, if they're really, really small pieces, you can even get away with grating it into the soup. If you want your carrot to completely melt in, you can just use a grater. You can just put into a food processor. You can also completely rush this process and your soup will still turn out really tasty. I enjoy the ritual of this, and for something like a very home rustic soup, it doesn't particularly matter. So, Rosie asks, are there any vegetables you shouldn't use in a soup? That's a good question. I think lettuces, that might be like a little bit obvious, but that's like the first thing that comes to mind. I feel like I don't want like cooked lettuces in a soup. Kale isn't a lettuce. Kale is more than anything like broccoli, like cabbage, right? So that's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't think anything else comes to mind. I think every other vegetable can just be used in a soup. It's just about knowing when you want to add it into the soup. Because if you add it in too late, it's not going to get cooked in time. And if you add it too early, it can get too mushy or sometimes a little bit stinky. Right? Especially with things like the kale. So we're not going to cook the kale too long. Avocado, also not maybe. However, I will say, maybe, I think it's called like a sopa azteca. I've had in Mexico, avocado garnished at the end of a soup, a bald squirrel. Pumpkin soup, yeah, people make pumpkin soups all the time. But guys, every vegetable can basically be made into a soup in some form or another. You just gotta process it differently. But like the avocado is an example of like not a vegetable that you would cook. It would just be the vegetable that like would get added at the end. I've seen it as garnish. Okay, everybody, that's it. That's all the processing that we need for the carrots. We did a fairly small dice, okay? And we're using a bench scraper just to clean off. Ah! My hair is kind of getting in my face still. Is there loofah soup? I'm not sure. I don't think there is a loofah soup. I mean, zucchini is effectively that, isn't it? Okay, so my carrots are done. And guys, we don't need to do separate bowls for this. We're going to all put it together in the same bowl because it will be added at the same time. The only time that you want to separate your vegetables is if they if they have to be added at different times. But my carrots, my celery, my onions, it's all going to cook at the same time. So let's move on. I don't think I need 3 stalks of celery. I'm looking at how much celery I have and I'm like, I only want to do 2 of these things. I'm also, I apologize, I'm a little off today. I'm a little tired. I'm feeling a little under the weather. So please forgive me. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut off the tops, the dried off tops and bottoms of the celery. Like the white part of it. Off it goes. Off it goes. Excellent. So everybody, if you're eating a raw piece of celery, this is something that I always love talking about. You don't have to necessarily do this if you're cooking celery. But what you can do is you can just break off a little piece of it and you can peel back all of the fibers. All of these fibers, these tend to get stuck in your teeth and they make it very difficult for you to get a bite out of celery. You can feel like these are like guitar strings, right? These are super tensile, these are super rubbery. So anytime I'm doing celery in any kind of raw application, like a salad or let's say we're making like buffalo wings or something, This is a step that I really like doing just to make sure that the celery gets nice and tender. Again, is it essential? Not in the slightest. It's just a very nice thing to do. And Dennis, I should do that, but I don't currently do it. I do advise everybody to do that and get into the habit of doing it. So right, you just peel it off like that. Okay, so celery. Let's go ahead and cut this in half, and we're going to do this the same exact way that we did with the carrots, right? Which is we just stack it up and we cut it in half, and then we just cut this into batons, just like so. Perfect. That's one done. Again, we're just going for a very small dice here. So nice thin batons, the length of your knife. Okay, perfect. And then we have some of this. Lovely. Okay, same exact idea with the celery. We're just going to take the whole thing and we're going to just stack it up, and we're going to get a bunch of small cubes. So, Rosie is Cozy has asked, what do you think are the most important things to learn how to cook for a beginner? My first answer to you is heat control. Heat control and knife technique. It's not recipes. The way that I want to teach people beginner cooks, which is what I want to do, I don't want to teach you a recipe. I just want to teach you theory and technique. And the most important one, above all else, is heat control, and we'll talk about that. So guys, we're just going through all of the celery. We're just, getting the same exact size cube as we did for the carrots. Okay? And when a cutting board starts to feel a little bit crowded, so that we don't just start making a big mess of things, let's just clean it up. Let's take the bench scraper and get the celery out and into the bowl with the carrots. Okay? Just get out there and get it done. And just keep going. Almost done, my friends. I'm just stanced up, ready to go, ready to fight. Move all of that aside. Last little bit of the batons. Okay. That stack may have been a little bit too big, but that's okay. There we go. All the celery now just got, chopped up. Perfect. Okay. And again, everybody, these are going to be the aromatics of today's soup. These are going to be the thing that's flavoring the broth. We're not using a chicken stock today. You can use a vegetable stock if you have any. You can also throw in things like mushroom stems and stuff, just to get a really delicious stock. I want to have this be purely vegetarian today. So we're not using any chicken stock or anything. Although you can. You don't have to make this vegetarian. It is just my intention because I wanted something a little bit light today. Okay, I'm realizing, guys, what I have going on with my hair, it is getting stuck in my mouth all the time. I do prefer an English-only chat, Shafel, so I apologize. Do my dishes have a lot of calories? I mean, it depends. I'm making home food. These are the kinds of things that I eat at home. The things that I make that are very calorie-dense, I'll just eat less of. And bald squirrel, I do occasionally like gazpacho, just not my favorite soup. I'm gonna have some tea. Okay, let's talk about the onion. Everybody, we want to get a small dice on this onion. First, we cut off the head of the onion. We cut off the head, not the root. This is the root, this is the head of the onion. So we cut it off. Okay, we're getting some skin falling off as well, that's fine. And then we're going to take it and we're going to cut the whole thing in half through the root end, because the root is going to keep this intact as we cut it. Okay? Okay, Moonha, I would like a band, please, and thank you. That'd be very nice. What is going on in my chat today? What is happening? Today's the day, I suppose. It's fine. It's chill. Everybody, please say thank you to Moonha. Please say thank you to Moonha for taking care of everything. Also, is everybody following along so far? So, onions. Guys, take a look. Nice and easy. These are going to basically melt into the soup as well. We're going to go in and we're going to make a bunch of parallel incisions, but we're keeping the root intact. We're making incisions and we're essentially fanning out the onion. So I just gotta check something. Also, thank you, Jay. Welcome on in. Okay, so go through each onion, guys. We're just fanning it out. We're fanning it out. What's really, really nice about this is because the onion, otherwise, it'll just spill out all over the cutting board. And this just, we're naturally using the shape of the onion to hold it together as we cut it. Okay, so take a look. Take a look. Take a look. Look at this fan on the onion. Okay, the root is intact. You don't want to cut all the way through. This is a very nice, very contemporary way of chopping up some onions. And now, we just chop it through. All the way through, my friends. Nice and easy. And there you go. Guess what? Perfectly diced onions. Every single time when you do it this way. And then when the cutting board gets a little bit too crowded, we just clean it up. We just clean it up. And we get in there. And we keep it going. Okay. Excellent. Those are the aromatics. And now we have one more half of the onion to clean up. Let's get this one done as well. And everybody, it's just going to be happening the same exact way. So just go through it all, stance up, and just go through that onion half. Also, welcome on in, SMG Hottie. And then let's do a recap session. Okay, sweet. That's all done. That got taken care of. Do I have a favorite cookbook brand? Dennis, it depends on each product. It depends on what I'm using it for. But yes, I do have a lot of really good brands that I like. Favorite? No, because a lot of brands do things well. And that's a whole conversation topic. Everybody, are you all ready for a little recap session? Who's ready for a recap session? I want to hear yes, chef, from everybody watching. If you're new today also, I want to hear yes, chef, from you too. It's lovely to have you. Hi. So, here's what we're doing today. We're doing two things. I wanted to keep it light. I wanted some really nice, delicious, light home food today. So we're doing a kale tomato soup. We're also doing a chickpea salad. Currently in my pressure cooker, I taught you how to make chickpeas in a pressure cooker, how easy it is and consistent it is to do at home. Everybody, the thing I want you all to take away from my streams is to get into the habit of using dried beans. You're going to save so much money. Beans are such an amazing thing to have in so many different dishes. And canned beans, I mean, you don't get to control the texture of it at all. Okay? For the kale tomato soup, all that we did so far is we chopped up the aromatics. So if I show you the aromatics one more time. Ooh, wrong one, excuse me. This is my carrots, this is my celery, this is my onions. This is called a mirepoix. This is a French culinary trinity that is used to flavor so many different things, from soups to sauces to stocks. So 1 small onion, 3 carrots, 3 bits of celery, but none of this is an exact ratio. Just use what you have. If you don't have celery, you don't have to use it. If you don't have carrots, you don't have to use it. The onions add sweetness, the carrots add sweetness, and the celery adds a nice herbaceousness. And it's chopped up finely so that this all basically melts and flavors the soup instead of us biting into it. Okay? Does everybody get that? Okay, I can go ahead and set that behind me now because we are now done with it. Okay, let's talk about what else we have to prep. So the tomatoes, I'm not going to char them this time today. I'm going to keep it really, really simple. We're just going to saute the tomatoes. You can also blend them up, but I'm just going to saute them. I think I'm going to keep one of these tomatoes to make my salad with. So one of them I'm going to keep behind me, but the other ones I am just going to chop up and just have them ready to go. We're not going to char them. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're just going to cut up this tomato and get it ready to be made into a soup. So I'm going to glove up for this as well because tomatoes are incredibly acidic. And if I don't do it, it's just going to get all over my paws and dry them out. So anytime you're cutting something acidic in a kitchen, I do recommend that you glove up, being lemons, being citrus, whatever. Yes, you can, JP. Yes, you can. So everybody, we're going to start by just cutting these tomatoes in half. These are 2 plum tomatoes. I like plum tomatoes because they're nice and fleshy. You can use any kind of tomato you want, but guess what? Plum tomatoes are also cheap. Plum tomatoes are cheap, and so they lend themselves very well for things like this. Okay. So we're making diagonal incisions. We're going into the tomato itself to get rid of the core of it because it gets a little bit woody. It gets a little bit unpleasant. And now Same exact thing, guys. The tomatoes, they're basically going to blend into the soup. They're going to melt in. So all we're doing is we're going through and we're making a bunch of slices. We're going from the base to tip. We're going from base to tip so that it stays intact. Because if you think about it, because the base is thicker and the tip is thinner, it's not sticking to the surface area of the knife this way. So I want you all to see this. I want you all to see the difference. This is how you can really, really perfect your knife technique at home. If you do this, look what happens. I pick it up and it's stuck to my knife, which is annoying. It's not a bad thing, it's just annoying. But if you do base to tip, well, maybe not that time, it was a little bit too much down. But if I do base to tip properly, and you finish it at the tip, okay? It's just going to all stay nice and intact on your cutting board, like so. So that's why we do base to tip, base to tip. And we're using as little vertical motion as possible. We're just pulling the knife, we're pulling the knife, we're pulling the knife, we're pulling the knife. And you need a nice sharp knife for this. If you don't have sharp knives, you need to fix that. You need to fix that. Having sharp knives is safe, but also it makes cooking fun. It makes cooking at home easy. I recommend if you have nice knives, getting them professionally sharpened if you don't want to learn it yourself. I don't feel qualified to teach you all how to sharpen your knives yet because I don't do them for myself. So I need to learn how to do that as well. I just get mine professionally sharpened for the streams. Okay, so tomatoes sliced up. And now guys, same exact idea. All we're doing, we're just going through all of this. And we're cubing up these tomatoes. And the tomatoes themselves, it's actually pretty important for us to get a small dice so that the skins themselves, the skins can actually get quite papery inside of a soup like this, especially like when it cooks down. And making sure that your tomatoes are either blended or chopped up finely, it's going to make sure that you don't have like big papery pieces of skin. Okay, I think it's pretty important. And I think all of you should get into the habit of doing the same. Okay, let's keep going. Just going through. And again, these are basically just going to melt in. You can also puree these. You can also do big chunks if you really want to. Doesn't really matter. The tomato is just going to add some very nice, pleasant acidity. We're not going to squeeze down the tomatoes until it basically becomes, we like cook them down until it becomes like a very like roasted sauce. That's not my intention for today. We're going to have plenty of sweetness from the other vegetables. Okay? And one last tomato have to go. There you go. Why is my table so shaky today? It's not like against my wall as much as usual. I think I'm gonna have to tighten the legs on my table. Okay, everybody, that's the tomato. That's all we have to do for it. Nicely chopped up, nice and easy, all the way through. There you go, bam. We're gonna go ahead and put that behind us yet again. We have no more use for this at the moment. And now, yeah, we got some zucchini to go through. Let's do the zucchini, guys. You ready to do the zucchini? Unrelated to the dish, but how do you know when pasta is done? I don't know what al dente is. So, Gozi, I'm going to tell you all something right now. When you're cooking pasta, especially at home, I do not want any of you to use times. I don't want you all to use times when you're cooking pasta. The best thing that you can do when you're cooking pasta is to pick up a strand from the pot, use some tongs or something, pick it up and just bite it and taste it. And naturally, over time, you'll build up the intuition. If you're looking for al dente, you're not looking for it to be soft all the way through, Rosie. You're looking for it to just have a little bit of bite at the end. You can control the texture as much as you want. I hope that answers your question. So that's the best way to tell. Don't use times, don't use any of that. Just pick it up and taste. Pick it up and taste it. That's the way that you should be doing it. Okay, zucchini. We're cutting off the heads. We're cutting off the butts. So the zucchini, this guy, I want in medium, I want a medium dice because I want to feel the zucchini. The zucchini is not an aromatic to the soup, okay? The zucchini is something that we want to taste, something that we want to bite into, something that we want to get a spoonful of. So back onto this plate because this is where it's going to be transferred to after it gets nicely chopped up. Okay. And we're just going to, we're going to just start by cutting these in half so that we can stack them up. Moonho, why don't you like zucchinis? I just love zucchinis. I love the texture of these things. So everybody, all we're going to do is we're going to slice these. We're not going to chop these. If you chop these, you're going to see that your knife just angles out. Watch what happens when we chop. Look at this cut. Look at the cut. Look what happened. Look what happened. Look how thick it is, and then look how thin it got. That's because we chopped it and we didn't slice it. If you slice it like so, guess what? You have a much more even plank of zucchini this way because we didn't chop it. Okay, and then I'm just gonna cut these bad boys in half, just like so. That's it. That's all there is to it. Cut them, cube them. That's it. We're not gonna complicate this. Keep it nice and simple. All right, nice medium cube is what we're going for. Because again, I wanna bite into the zucchini in this soup today. We're just getting all of the prep done in advance so that we don't have to worry about it later on. So again, slice it, don't chop it, slice it, use the full length of your knife. That way, everything stays really beautifully together. Cut this into batons, stack it up, and cut into cubes. There you go. That's all there is to it. Am I going to sing through the halftime show? I don't know anything about the Super Bowl, guys. My family growing up, they kind of like, I don't know anything about football. I don't know anything about any traditional sports. I used to follow tennis as a kid. That was it. In fact, let's just plank them up now. Let's just get all these done into planks. So we're just slicing it and we're planking it. Just like so. Okay? Plank it all up. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing as before, where we're just going to take some and cut them up into batons. So it's nice to just take all of the flat pieces, because those are like the ones that you can really, really easily stack up, but it doesn't really matter that much. So just take them, and into batons they all go. Into batons, into batons. Just go ahead and iterate through each of your zucchinis. Make some space on the cutting board. Take the whole thing and stack it up and cube it up. Same exact idea as with the carrots and the celery. It's all the same idea, guys. And again, the size of these, the bigger they are, the longer they'll take to cook. The smaller they are, the more they'll dissolve. The zucchini, I don't want it to dissolve. It can make the thing slimy. I don't want like basically mushy zucchini. I want them to still have the tiniest little bite left. Okay. Oof, that's a lot of zucchini I'm realizing. Okay. And let's just keep going through all of this. Batons, batons, bam, batons, batons, batons. These are imperfect batons. We're just rushing through this a little bit now because we're spending a lot of time cutting vegetables for today. This is 99% of the labor that goes into making such like a heavy vegetable soup, by the way, is all the prep, all the washing, all the different vegetables that you want to use. It takes time, and that's why you want to cook before you're hungry, before you're ready to eat, so that you can give everything the appropriate amount of time and love, so that we don't have to rush this process. Okay, any questions so far? Chat, by the way, I'm really happy to have all of you. Also, Aoife, whoa, thank you so much for the raid. Hello, hello, welcome on in. Chat, I'm going to do a little recap session in a second of what we're making. You can also just type an exclamation mark menu. Welcome in. Welcome on in. Okay. This isn't a cucumber, Aoife. This is zucchini. This is zucchini. This is not a cucumber by any means. Okay? So take it, nice medium dice all the way through. Thank you, Chloe. Welcome in, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the best cooking streamer on Twitch. I'm here to teach you how to cook. For any of you that have any cooking questions whatsoever, I'm the person to ask. It can be about this dish, it can be about anything else. Also, hello to Brady. Hello, hello. That is not a cucumber. Also, thank you. I feel really cute with my new haircut. Okay, so we're just making a little kale tomato soup, everybody. It's going to have some zucchini. It's going to have plenty of nice little aromatics in it. It's going to be really flavorful. It's going to be light because I wanted something light. We're also doing a chickpea salad. We're going to do some homemade croutons as well for it. The chickpeas are currently in the pressure cooker because we don't use canned beans on this stream. None of you should be using canned beans at all. At home, I want to see you exclusively use dried beans because it's so much cheaper and you get to control the texture of it. I don't want anybody to be using canned beans unless you absolutely have to. But a pressure cooker makes the job of cooking beans so much more pleasant in my experience. Canned anything is bad. That's not true, Moonhub. Canned tomatoes are very nice because tomatoes are extremely seasonal. But beans, you get beans all year round. Well, kind of. Question, can you make bean chili without beans, only meat? You absolutely can, Sunny Peach Crush. You absolutely can. Now, it won't necessarily be a traditional chili con carne, but you can indeed just have all the flavors. You can have the fresh chilies, you can have the fresh dried chilies. Without a doubt, you can. People do this all the time. Okay, almost done getting that medium dice out of all of the zucchini. Okay, nice and done, perfect. And then I'm also going to wash off my knife because it was just handling a lot of acidic things. There is no, Jay, I know exactly what you're about to say. Yes, yes. Yes, we all know this joke, Jay. We all know this. Okay. No. So, Aoife, the reason why we're never cutting ourselves when we cut things. So, everybody, let's talk about knife technique. Everybody, who wants to learn a little bit about knife technique today? Who wants to learn? Who wants to learn? You all want to learn some theory? You all want to get down right now? So, let me tell you about how I don't cut myself when I cook. So, we have a knife. We have our hands. I don't have my fingers all the way out here. Aha, use the back of my knife. Don't worry. I love doing that. It freaks people out so much. Okay, guys, my fingertips are never exposed. My fingertips are always behind my knuckles. Yeah, that freaks you out, doesn't it? It really gets you. You have your front knuckles here. This is called a claw grip. This is called a claw grip when you cut things. Your front knuckle, if you look at the position, my front knuckle is sticking out in front of my fingertip. Okay? It's not like super exaggerated. I'm not like doing this or this with my fingers. It's just very, very nicely like this. And so, my knife, it's always gliding, right? If you were to take a look, it's just gliding on the edge of my front knuckles. And if you were to cut yourself here, it's actually no biggie. You would have just shaved off a little bit of skin there. But I'm never really putting my knife down on this. I'm never lifting it up that high, right? So let's say I'm holding something. Let's say I'm holding something like this lemon. Look what's happening. My edge of my knife is never on my knuckles, the actual sharp end of it. Only the flat side of the knife is on the knuckles themselves. If your edge on your knife is on your knuckles, that means you lifted up your knife a little bit too high. And that's how you get nice, efficient knife technique. The reason why a claw grip is nice is it because it holds your food in place and it guides your knife. This is the safest way to cut things, but you go slow. Chat, I want you all to go slow. Remember, knuckles in front, hold your thing down, make sure it's nice and stable, and you're not putting your edge above your fingers. The edge of the knife will always be below, and you're just using this as stability, right? You can see, look, I can't cut myself like this. You can't cut yourself like this. I want to hear a yes, chef, from everybody watching. I want to make sure that all of you understand. There's no way that you can cut yourself doing this way unless you lift it up too high and you go too fast. So that's why you don't rush. You don't go fast. You start nice and slow and you build up over time. Okay, I'm going to stop waving my knife around, maybe. That was a good question. I like those kinds of questions. So, everybody, this is what we prepped so far for the soup. We had these 3 lovely zucchinis that we got a nice medium cube on. We have my aromatics for the soup, my French mirepoix, my onions, my carrots, my celery. We have a couple of chopped up tomatoes as well because it's a kale tomato soup. Okay? And then we got a couple of other things that we need to still go and get done for the soup. The chickpeas are cooking in the meantime. Yeah, guys, today's a really chill stream today, but we're getting stuff done. We're staying productive. Okay. So, it's time to peel up a couple of potatoes. Let's talk about my potatoes. Actually, I don't think we need to peel. Let's peel. I'm feeling a peeled potato today. No, it's a soup. Chat, are we peeling potatoes? We're peeling potatoes. We're peeling potatoes. It'll be fine. So, bowl. You want to fill this up with some water because once we peel the potatoes, they will start oxidizing unless we make sure that it's nicely and properly covered in some water. We're doing 2 potatoes. So we'll peel them up. Again, you don't have to peel it. You can just, put it in as is. The skin of it is really, really delicious. It has a lot of the nutrition of the potato. You just have to scrub it beforehand, is the only thing. You have to really scrub it with a vegetable brush. Don't just rinse your potatoes. If you're using the skin, you want to scrub it. How long did it take to grow my hair this long? Oh man, I mean, I just had a haircut, but I've been growing my hair out since I was 15 and I'm 21 years old. So it's been about 6 years that I've been growing my hair out. And I've had a few haircuts since then. Okay, so peeler. Hold in your non-dominant hand, you're going to hold your vegetable, and then you're going to use the thumb of your dominant hand to essentially pivot. You're going to pivot. You're going to pivot. You're going to use the thumb as a nice way to hold it down. Okay? Like DJ Khaled, #1 record, Hold You Down. Sorry. Does anybody know that reference? Does anybody know what I'm referencing with that? So, you can use any kind of potato that you want, by the way. Just the potatoes will have different textures. I love the texture of gold potatoes, especially in soups. You laughed? Okay, I'm glad you did. I just didn't know if that was a little too dated of a reference for some people now. Thank you. Okay, take the potato and we're peeling it up, and we're peeling it up. Okay, you don't have to get all of it off, it'll be fine. And we're going to put it into a bowl of cold water to stop it from oxidizing. And we're just going through again, and we're peeling it up, and we're peeling it up, and we're getting it done. And by the way, having your thumb on it helps the vegetable to not slip out of your hands. Otherwise, when you do this, especially with a potato, because of how wet it gets when you peel it, guys, if you peeled anything, you're full of blood. You're full of liquid, okay? If somebody started peeling your skin off, you would be wet and slippery too. Why is the potato oxidizing bad? Because it affects the taste. It starts to get an unpleasant taste. Okay, so go ahead. We're just going through all of this, and we're peeling it up. We're getting rid of any, eyes, if the potato has any. But we can just dig it out like so, nice and easy, all the way through. Okay, perfect. That seems to be just fine. And that's it. That's all we have to do to peel up that potato. Okay, and then the way that you want to actually cut these potatoes, that's going to be completely up to you. That's going to be up to you and your own preference. My bowl is a little overfilled with water. I don't need that much water. I can tell you that for certain. So let's go ahead and cut up the potatoes for today. Yes, Dennis, you can peel a potato when it's already cooked. You would use a paring knife, or you would scoop it out. And have I made desserts before, Bald Squirrel? No, because I don't eat any sweets. Also, everybody, my pressure cooker is done. We're going to give it 10 minutes of natural pressure release. Meaning we don't immediately kill the pressure on it. And then we'll inspect and see how the beans are doing. Okay, so everybody, potato. Think about the size that you actually want. Think about the size that you want. I'm just going to first start by cutting these in half so I have a nice flat edge to work on with the potatoes. The bigger you cut them, the longer it's going to take for them to cook. The smaller, the more they'll end up cooking and the more they'll fall apart into your soup. So the end texture is completely up to you. I'm going for a medium dice. Something slightly bigger. Oh, did I pause my music with my headphones? Ah, there we go. We got it back. So I'm just going for this medium, cube on the potato. Something like this. Again, guys, it's a soup. Keep it rustic. You don't need everything to be perfectly cut. You don't need everything to be perfectly chopped. You can do whatever you want. It's your soup. You are in control of your own soup. I'm not the one controlling your soup. I'm just teaching you the method. I'm showing you the theory behind all of it, okay? But I'm not showing you the only way to make a soup that features potatoes in it. Okay? Does anybody have any questions so far? So do you need a good knife? Also, don't call me Gordon Ramsay. I don't like that guy. Oh, I'm glad you like Ropa Vieja as much as I do. I love Ropa Vieja Mountain Dew. I love it. Do you need a good knife? Yeah, you need a good knife. Everybody needs a good knife. Now, if you can take care of a knife, A carbon steel is going to be your best bet because it stays nice and sharp, but it can rust. If you're not going to take care of it, stainless steel is going to be the way to go. I just like the way that carbon steel, it holds an edge longer than stainless steel does. Okay. And one more potato. Just cutting it in half once again. And then we're just going to cut this potato in quarters, just like so. Nice and easy. All the way through. And again, guys, I'm just using up my leftover potatoes that I had in my fridge. You can use Idaho, you can use russet, you can use, I don't know, Kennebecs, whatever British people call them. You can use anything that you got. Just use up your potatoes. You can even use waxy potatoes for this if you want red potatoes in your soup, but I don't love the skin texture on them. I don't love the texture on them sometimes. Okay, one last one to go. There we go. And take it, and we're going to just scoop the whole thing up. Just take it and scoop it up. And then, guys, we're just going to make sure that all of these potatoes are covered with some nice cool water to, once again, prevent it from oxidizing. If they oxidize, they'll turn brown, and they'll affect the taste of your end product. So we're just keeping it nice and fresh in some cold water. Okay, everybody, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to clean off my station because we cut potatoes. Potatoes are starchy. Potatoes are sticky. I just wanted to get rid of the potatoes just to make sure that those are done. I'm going to put them behind me. They fulfill their function for us. Everybody, please say thank you to Mr. Potato. Okay. I'm going to wash off my knife because it's covered in all that potato starch. Right, it gets very, very sticky. We still need this knife to cut up a lot of other things. Oh no! Is my soap dispenser dry? That'll suck. Okay. Just washing up my knife really quickly, getting that done. And again, because it's a carbon steel knife, we have to make sure that it's staying nice and dry. Otherwise, my knife, it's actually kind of the opposite, right? You stop your potatoes from turning brown by covering them in water, and you stop your knife from turning brown by not keeping it in water. That's only because I have a carbon steel knife. Most of you typically have stainless steel knives at home. Stainless steel, it has a little bit of chromium, which stops it from being as reactive. Carbon steel does not, or it has less of it rather. Okay, and I'm just gonna wipe down my station with a nice wet paper towel because again, the potato starch is all over it. We don't want the potato starch there. Also, Chloe, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Yeah, don't worry about it. You're more than welcome to. You can bring up other topics. You don't just have to ask me or mention things about cooking. That's very sweet. Okay, chat. Who's ready for a recap session once again? Also, for those of you that have not already done so, please check out my Patreon. Type in !Patreon. Go to the About section. Scroll down. Okay? Any and all support is appreciated. We recently hit $200 every single month. We're getting closer and closer to being able to cover the grocery costs of these streams. We stream 3 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. We do everything from scratch at home, so any and all help would be really, really appreciated in that regard. Alternatively, you can always subscribe. You can type in !Tip. You can type in !Donate. Okay? All of that good stuff would also be really, really appreciated. It would go a very long way. So, everybody, we're making today a beautiful kale tomato soup. And so for the kale tomato soup, we chopped up some onions, some carrots, and celeries. Okay? This is the French mirepoix. This is the aromatic base of the soup, and it's going to melt in. A small dice so that it melts in. The tomatoes, they're also going to melt in. It's going to add a very pleasant acidity to the whole thing. It's going to give it a nice tomato flavor. We have some zucchini for the texture, because I adore zucchini. I love it. I love the taste of it. Medium dice so that it doesn't get too soft, because if it's a fine dice, it can get really mushy. We have the potatoes chopped for it. And then we also finished cooking the chickpeas. We finished cooking the chickpeas for the chickpea salad that we're doing. And I'm going to show you how to also make some delicious homemade croutons. Now, homemade chickpeas, guys. We don't use canned, pre-cooked chickpeas. It's too expensive, and we don't get to control the texture that way. And my favorite movie is Spaceballs. And my t-shirt says, "Go work your cringe 9 to 5. I'll be gaming." I love saying it and presenting it in that voice every single time. Okay, the chickpeas, we're releasing the pressure. So Sunny Peach Crush, yes, when we do the salad. But we don't need to do that because we're making a soup out of the other 2 tomatoes. Okay, here's the last thing that we gotta do. We have this massive, massive bunch of kale. And cutting kale can be kind of annoying sometimes because of how much space it takes up. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna take it and we're just gonna stack it. I mean, honestly, here's what I'm inclined to do. We need space for this thing. That is the current thing that we're lacking. If I put this on my cutting board, it's all going to spill out right now. You guys wanna see this thing? And by the way, I use a salad spinner to dry this off, which is my favorite way to do it. In fact, you know what I think I can do? I can just take this whole thing and I can just take it like so, and I can roll it up. Oh, you can curse in here, but I won't. Chat is PG-13. Yeah, guys, this isn't gonna work. That's going to all spill out of your cutting board. Okay. I don't have a place where I can put this kale yet. It's a lot of kale. It looks like a lot, but it's all going to end up cooking down into the soup itself. So I gotta figure out what the hell to do with all of this kale right now. I need a sheet tray of some kind. I need like a really, really big sheet tray just to be able to dump all of it out on. Like something like this. We're going to stack it, but we're going to first dump it out. Okay, here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're going to take it, we're gonna take this whole thing, and I'm just gonna dump it out here, just so I have a little bit of space on my cutting board, and then we're going to put the sliced up kale into this bowl. Okay, and again, there's a reason why I'm slicing up the kale. Even though the texture will reduce down a lot, oh, I kaled all over the floor. No, stop it. Figure it out. Okay, guys, the issue is if you leave this kale whole, you're basically going to get these massive like drapes of kale in your soup. You try to get a spoonful of the soup. You try to get a spoonful of the soup and it's going to wrap around your spoon. How many times has that happened to you? The reason why I want to cut this kale up is so that doesn't happen, so that we get these nice ribbons of kale, but not this whole, you know, like this thing that just occupies your entire mouthful and your entire spoonful. It's a very unpleasant textural experience for me. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're just going to start with 1 bundle of kale at a time on the cutting board, like so. We're figuring this out as we go along, and we're gonna take it, and we're just gonna try our best to stack up every single individual leaf. You know what? Nope, I lied. Guys, we gotta process this kale. Here's how we're gonna process it. Just cut it into ribbons. And we took the stem out because the stem can be a little bit too tough unless you really cook it down. So we did just rip off the stems. Also underestimated, I do use it at Snatchy. So just go through it. Just go through it. Just go through it. And again, you don't have to cut it any more than that. You just want to make sure that every single leaf was cut into like these kinds of ribbons. And the beauty of kale is that you see all of these curls, it'll soak up the soup so nicely in all of its little crevices and all of its little holes. I don't have a pronouns command though. I don't think I do at least. Okay, there you go. That's 1 stack of kale done. Let's move on to the next stack of kale. Okay, and next one going in. There you go. I don't use they, I'm underestimated. I use it, it's fine. Okay, woo, man, this kale is exploding today. It's all over the place. Guys, that is just the nature of kale. And again, all of it is going to end up cooking down. It's just during this stage. It is really, really annoying. Okay. We have about 2 more bundles to go through. Again, cutting it up into ribbons. Cutting it up, cutting it up. And take it all and scoop it up. Oh my God, J-Buck, that was crazy. I just read that and got that message. That was, okay. Okay, that was pretty funny. Okay, Last bunch of kale, guys. Last bunch of kale. This is a process. Last one. Going now. Okay. 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 That's it. That's all there is to it. Bam. Done. And now, this is where your bench scraper comes into play, because remember, you have all of this shrapnel. You have all of like these little teeny tiny bits of kale. And so, no, we don't need more kale. Chat, please press 1 for no more kale. If nobody wants more kale, that's enough kale. That's enough kale. Okay? Yeah, 1 for no more kale. No, not for more kale. 1 for less kale. Okay? We don't need more kale. That was plenty of kale. So the kale, we cut it up into ribbons. No, stop it. Stop it. Guys, you gotta listen to me. You have to listen to me. We don't need more kale at the moment. Okay. We did the prep for the kale. Soon we're going to actually begin the soup making. We don't need more kale. It's enough kale. God. Okay. Yeah, my sheet tray, that's it. It did its job. Okay, everybody, it's time for us to look at the chickpeas. The chickpeas have finished pressure cooking. We're now going to inspect them for the texture. We're looking for a slightly firm chickpea. The reason we want it slightly firm is because it's going into a salad today. And you can always cook a chickpea more, theoretically speaking, for whatever you need it. But because it's being used for a salad, I don't want it to basically be like a mush. Okay? So, let's go to my stove really quickly. Let's move my Dutch oven away. I don't need that at the moment. Let's go ahead and grab my pot of perfectly cooked chickpeas. And let's see how they're doing. And again, if they're too firm still, we can always put them back in and let them cook a little bit longer. And you can see, because of the fact that we kept that onion intact, we can easily pull that thing out. It didn't like break up and get all over the chickpeas. Dennis, I don't have any tricks to get rid of chickpea skins. I keep them. This is a vegetarian meal. Yes, we're doing vegetarian today. I've listened to all of your concerns. I want to do something light. You guys have asked me to do more vegetarian dishes. We're doing vegetarian. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to see the texture of these chickpeas. If I soak them, so I only pressure cook them on high for 25 minutes. Yep, as suspected, that is a little bit too firm for me. Okay, no worry at all. We're just going to put them back in high pressure, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, and then it should be perfect. So guys, we just got to play around with it a little bit, you know? 5 minutes at high pressure, and then we'll have a perfect pot of chickpeas. Oh, hello. I ended up pouring water all over my pressure cooker. Please excuse me. I have seen Chef, yes. Well, part of it. I've seen clips of it. I know enough about the plot of Chef that I don't think I can ever watch it. That's what I'm trying to say, I think. Okay, high pressure. And we're doing that for 5 more minutes. 6 more minutes or so. And we'll let it naturally pressure release as well. A little bit too firm. Okay. Hi. So, let's talk about what else we need to get done for today. That's not us getting stuff done. We gotta get some garlic done. We gotta get some garlic done because guys, we can't have a kale tomato soup without any garlic, can we? And we're also going to need some garlic for the croutons themselves. So, here's what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. We're going to have 2 little containers. Okay, and we're gonna get some garlic cloves out. I want like 4 to 5. You guys can't have too many garlic cloves. I like to peel this over a bowl so that my papery skins just don't get all over the place. But rather I'm just like plucking it off. J-Box, excuse me. I would love that. That would be my life's purpose fulfilled. Okay, so we're just plucking off every single garlic clove. Also, welcome on in, Morg. Lovely to have you. Okay. Each one coming off. And yeah, I think that should be actually enough garlic for us today. Yeah, we don't need any more. I'm gonna go ahead and put that away now. Okay, we have all of these different garlic cloves. We're gonna take our bench scraper, and again, today we're going to be using my garlic press. Okay, I don't like chopping garlic on a cutting board because of how sticky it gets. We are gonna be seeing the garlic press, but first thing that we have to do before we see him, before he's ready to see us, smash it. We're gonna take it and we're gonna smash each of them down. Take it and smash it. Take it and smash it. Take it and smash it. And we're gonna need some for the croutons. That was my pressure cooker building up pressure again. So we're smashing it, every single one of these, so that we can peel off the skin of the garlic. I'm gonna show you. I'm using my bench scraper for this, and now guess what? You guys can just take each one, and the skin easily plucks off. That is plenty of garlic. That is more than enough garlic for today. Guys, that's all we gotta do. This is enough garlic to make like a mainland Italian really lose their shit. Oh, sorry. I have to keep this PG. Because man, those guys, they hate garlic. Like Italians? Like they'll like use like one clove in something, but they'll never chop it up. They'll like put it in, they'll take it out. And they detest using a lot of garlic. They hate the way American Italians use a lot of garlic. It's so funny. Okay, just pluck off every single clove. Pluck them off. Get them out of here. Get all the skins off. Guys, we have so much prep work to do today. I hope I'm not boring all of you. But I just want to show you, I mean, guys, prep work and vegetable prep like this, even if it's not like the most exciting kind of cooking, it can still be fun. Because I can show you all how to do it just the right way. Wait, is that too much garlic? No. What am I saying? Who am I? There's no such thing. Okay. And a little bit more. Okay. There we go. All my garlic cloves peeled up. Well, most of them peeled up. Just go ahead and pluck that one off as well. Excellent. Rinse my hands off really quickly. Okay, we have all these garlic cloves. So I need some for my croutons. And I'm going to need some for, of course, my soup today. So let's get the garlic press out. Let's also get a little knife that we're going to use. All right, let's just start throwing them in. Guys, I hate chopping garlic on a cutting board. It gets messy. It gets sticky. Ooh, get that guy out of here. It gets messy. It gets sticky. Sunny Peach Crush, yes. I've been on estrogen for 3.5 years. Quite a long time at this point. Okay, and smash it down. Smash it down. Smash it down. Every single one of these. Take as long as you need to. Just get it all in the... Ugh, that is a lot of garlic. There's no such thing as too much. No such thing. Just keep going through all of it. Keep pressing it. Keep pressing it. Keep pressing it. Keep putting in all that pressure. Get it done. Chat. Talking about you. You chat. Get it done. Whew, that is so much garlic. I think I am now just appreciating the sheer scale of how much garlic this actually is at the end of the day. Okay. And now, boop. That's why we need that knife. And now this is going to be used for the croutons, and I'm going to show you what we do. This is a method I stole from Serious Eats. We're just going to do a little infused olive oil. Because if we do the croutons with the garlic straight up, the garlic can burn in the oven. Okay? Just get it all in there. Just pack it in. Pack it all in. Get it done. Get it inside. Every single last one. We don't leave any garlic behind. Okay. There you go. And that's it. slash exclamation mark menu. Also, we don't do recipes here. Here we go. Garlic. This is for the soup, and this is going to be for the croutons. Wait, what was the good question? What did somebody ask? Okay, that's it. So, we're going to be doing a little infused olive oil. We're doing a little infused olive oil. So again, I'm taking inspiration from J. Kenji Lopez Alton doing this. The reason for this is because we want the flavor of the garlic, but if we add the garlic straight up, it's going to just end up burning instead. So we need a bunch of olive oil, about whatever much this is, and we're just going to infuse it. That's it. We're going to get the flavor of the raw garlic in the olive oil, and the croutons are then just going to cook with this olive oil. That actually may have been a little bit too much, but that's okay. And we're just going to stir it around, make sure it's broken up. Okay? And we're going to get some garlic infused olive oil, and we're going to use this later on once we actually make the croutons. Okay? My pressure cooker is also like done cooking the chickpeas. We're just going to let it naturally sit for 10 more minutes because I want to make sure that the inside is cooked through. And all I'm going to do now, guys, I'm just going to take the bench scraper and clean up my station, clean up my bench, doing exactly what it needs to do, what it's meant for. Okay, everybody, I think we've done all of the prep work that we need for the soup. We've done all of the vegetables that we need for the soup today. Is it soup time? Chat, is it soup time? I believe it's soup time. Oh yeah, yeah, it's soup time. It's soup time. So let's get started. We're going to get started in my gorgeous Dutch oven. Chat, let me teach you about how to use a Dutch oven. Let me talk to you about the mistakes that other chefs make and they don't know what they're doing. Number one, first I'm gonna have a sip of water before we get into this. Number one, I don't want to see you use a single metal utensil on this thing. I'm going to be using wood. I have some beautiful wooden spoons. You can use this, you can use silicone. I don't want to see you use any metal utensils on it because you will end up scratching and damaging the coating on it. The people that I see use metal utensils on this, they think they can just treat this like any other cast iron pan. This is enameled. So under no circumstances, I want to hear a yes chef right now from everybody watching, that you understand that you cannot use metal utensils on this thing. I see all kinds of chefs, even excellent chefs, use it. They don't know what they're doing. You should listen to me instead. You will damage your beautiful cookware. Look at this Dutch oven. It's beautiful. It was way too much money. I didn't buy it. One of my lovely chatters did. But it's a very beautiful Dutch oven. Number two, don't heat it up when it's empty. Same exact thing with other nonstick pans. If you heat this up when it's empty, you're going to end up damaging the coating on the outside because some of it is going to get too hot and some of it is going to get too cold. So you need to make sure that when you're heating this up, you're heating it with a fat, like olive oil, which is what we'll be using, or if you're boiling something in this, you have to heat it up with water, but you're not heating this thing up empty. Rule number three, we don't blast this thing with high heat. Like any other cast iron pan, the key is to heat it up low and slow, or medium and slow. If you heat it up super high, what's going to happen is you're going to have hot spots and you're going to have cool spots, depending on the contact with your heating element. When you have a thick piece of metal, like something like a cast iron, because of how thick and heavy it is, you need to heat it up slowly. Slowly. Be nice and patient. So here's what we're doing. First, medium heat. Medium heat. And then, hey, if your pan is too cold, you'll just heat it up longer. And then we go in with the olive oil. We want a generous amount because we're making a big old pot of soup. So a nice, healthy glug of olive oil. And we're heating it up on medium. We're heating it up on medium. And it's not even just gas. It's not even just gas, Dennis. This is for electric. This is also for induction. For things like cast iron where the metal is really, really thick, in order to heat it up evenly, you have to go medium and slow. Medium and slow. I mean, J-Rock, that's completely up to you. It's your preference. You will also damage your pans over time if they're not just solid metal. This is an enameled pan. This is not just solid metal. Okay, let's also talk about the seasonings for the soup really quickly. I'm keeping it really simple today. I'm gonna do salt. I'm gonna do some pepper. Have I been running out of kosher salt? Do I have more kosher salt? Please tell me I have a box of kosher salt somewhere. No. Oh, I'm annoyed. I did not run out of kosher salt, did I? That did not just happen. I have a box of kosher salt somewhere. I'm sure of it. Okay. Oh, I'm not happy. Oh, I do have a box of kosher salt. Okay, sweet. This is my kosher salt container. Can somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me right now? Why do you think I use kosher salt? Why do we use kosher salt on the stream? Why do we use kosher salt in my home kitchen? Does somebody know the answer to this? And we're using diamond crystal, by the way. I'm just filling this back up. Not because it looks pretty, not at all. Nope, kosher salt, yes. Well, historically, underestimated monkey, it was used for something called koshering, which is a way of preserving meat. But that's not why we're using kosher salt. I am also Jewish, though, but that's not why we use it. Everybody, we use kosher salt because of the texture of it. Because we're able to take it in our hands and pick it up physically. Like so. When you have table salt, when you have fine salt, you can't pick it up with your hands. As a chef, as somebody cooking at home, the best way to pick up salt is using your fingers. Not using a spoon, not measuring things out that way. It is, you go in there with your fingers and you pick it up. If it's a table salt, if it's too fine, okay, what's going to happen is it falls out and it slips between your fingers. And other kinds of salt, let's say like pink Himalayan salt, that salt is too dense. The molecular structure of this, or rather the crystalline structure of this, is almost like an empty pyramid shape. It's an empty pyramid shape. So this way, the salt is not too dense. It's not too intense. While all salt is the same by mass, volume-wise, they hold completely differently. Kosher salt is very nice because it's very like empty, it's very like hollow in texture. So you're able to like really build up a nice feel of picking it up with your hands. And a little will go, it won't go as long of a way as like a super dense crystal salt. So that's why I recommend that everybody, you need to have a container of kosher salt when you cook. Not table salt, not pink Himalayan salt, not chunky salt. Kosher salt is the salt you're using 95% of the time. Does everybody understand? I want to hear yes, chef, right now. So we filled that up. The only other thing I'm going to do, we're going to have some red pepper flakes because I was like, I think that could be nice in this. I have some red pepper flakes. And again, we're heating up my pot. Medium and slow. Medium and slow is the key to this. Some red pepper flakes just for a little bit of extra heat. What am I doing? And we're going to fry it in the fat. You can use other kinds of chilies if you want. I just want some nice heat going into this today. Okay, and that's it. That's all we got to do for it. Excellent. Wonderful, in fact. So guess what, guys? Our olive oil has been getting nice and slowly hot over time. So why do we begin by cooking the vegetables in oil? Why do we begin by cooking the aromatics in oil? Well, you don't have to do this step. We're doing this to build a little bit of flavor. Sauteed things, browning things, builds flavor. You're getting a deeper cooked flavor. It just makes it different. You can make a soup that is entirely boiled. You can do that. But we're not going to do that today. So we're going to get the carrots, the celery, the onions to be a little bit sweeter, to be a little bit more intense by frying it in the olive oil. And we're going to be thus also be flavoring the oil. What we're not going to do is just sweat it. We're not just going to be sweating the vegetables in oil, as many cooks like to say, oh, we're just going to sweat this today. Also, let me see, can I adjust this really quick? Yeah, there you go. We're not going to be sweating this. I don't believe in that as a concept. We're going to be frying this. We're going to be developing some color. We're going to be developing some flavor. We're going to be evaporating some of the liquid from the vegetables so that we can get that color built up. Does everybody understand me? Okay, let's have some tea. Let's have a little sip. Man, I feel so cute with my hair. I feel really pretty with it. I can't lie. Also, I should check my phone, because I did have a couple of notices I needed to get back to that I neglected to do so. Okay, sweet. So, guess what? My oil has been slowly getting hot. We don't need my olive oil to be smoking. And also, there is a specific reason why I'm using olive oil for this. It's because all of the oil, all the fat that we're using today is going to go into the soup itself. Oil is not just a cooking medium. It is also an ingredient. I want to hear yes, chef, right now. Everybody watching. The oil is as much of an ingredient as other things are. Because all of this oil is going to go into today's soup. We want a nice, delicious fat like olive oil. We're not using canola oil, we're not using grapeseed oil, because those aren't delicious fats with any kind of flavor. Olive oil is delicious. You can use butter, you can use clarified butter, you can use an animal fat. Just use a fat that you like eating. So, my oil has been heating up. It's just beginning to smoke slightly. And now in goes my aromatics, my carrots, my onions, my celery, and stir it around the oil and get every single last little bit of these aromatics. These bad boys are going to start developing some color. They're going to start getting golden brown. It's going to take time for us to cook enough liquid out of it in order to do that. Resist the urge to crank up the heat. You're just going to get hot spots and cool spots that way. So take it, get all of your vegetables in there, excellent. And now let's hit it with some salt. The salt is going to help these cook. The salt is going to help pull out some liquid. Although you don't really have to at this stage. You can always add it later. But it's also going to help season the vegetables too. So a couple big pinches of salt, and don't worry about your red pepper, don't worry about your garlic. The reason why we add the garlic later on is because the garlic can burn. And if we add the garlic now at this stage, it'll be burnt by the time that we actually develop color on the rest of these vegetables. We don't add the red pepper flakes for the same reason. We don't add the black pepper for the same reason. So it's just aromatics and just some salt just to get the whole thing started. And we're mixing it around ever so slightly just to make sure that everybody has a little bit of time to get nicely and evenly in contact with the bottom of the Dutch oven. The beauty of a cast iron Dutch oven is that it's able to hold on to so much heat because it's a thick piece of metal. It's going to be an excellent vessel for your soup. You don't have to use a Dutch oven. You can just use a pot. You can just use a stainless steel pot. And guys, now we're just going to be chilling out a little bit. Now we're just keeping it real simple. If you have any cooking questions, anything at all that you want to ask me, guess what? I am here to help you. I want to teach you how to cook at home. I want to teach you how to be nice and comfortable cooking at home. What is the difference between burning and charring? Very good question, keepers. So guess what? There is no difference. Charring is just a very cute way to sound, just to say burning. Burning and charring are interchangeable. The only difference is sometimes we burn or char things intentionally to get some of that smokiness, to get some of those really complex, bitter flavors into something, like we do with tomatoes. But in this case, we don't want to burn these aromatics because the goal of them is to flavor the soup, and charring them would add a little bit too much of that like acrid, bitter, burnt flavor. But yes, difference between burning and charring, it's purely just two ways to say the same thing. Purely two ways to say the same thing. That's a very good question, keepers. I'm very happy you asked me that. Okay, and now, we don't want to stir this too often. If we stir this too often, we'll be consistently cooling down the pan and the vegetables won't get any color on them. But at the same time, if you don't stir these enough, the vegetables will burn on the bottom and then your soup will taste burnt. So we want to make sure that we're stirring these like every minute, every 45 seconds or so. And it's just to make sure that we're moving it around, that nothing is burning at the bottom. So don't over stir it, again, because you'll cool down your pan too much and your vegetables will never end up getting any color, but don't stir it too little. And this is the sense, this is the intuition that you will build up over time. So you don't want to step away. You don't want to get out of the kitchen right now. If you walk away for 5 minutes, the bottom of these vegetables is going to be black and burnt, and your soup is going to taste that way too. Okay? And this is the basic theory of cooking something in oil. It's knowing that balance of when to do something. There's a perfect middle ground, and you will build up that intuition, that sense over time. Time is going to be your best friend in this. Okay? I mean, Dr. Slowbro, you can just use them interchangeably. It doesn't really matter. You can still use charred in a negative context. It's just language. People use it differently, right? We just have intentional burning, we have intentional charring, and we have unintentional. So we're getting that golden color developed in all of these aromatics. We're going to get it nice and sweet. We're going to get it nice and cooked down. And we're just distributing it every so often. And we're making sure that it's spread out flat. The olive oil is making sure that the heat is evenly conducting around the vegetables. And we're also, in turn, flavoring the oil with all of these beautiful aromatics. And you don't even have to do the step. You can just boil this. You can just do it. It depends on what you want out of your soup. It depends how much effort you want to put in. Do I do egg recipes? I mean, underestimate a monkey. I cook with eggs all the time. I just don't really do egg things on stream. Sometimes I do a frittata on stream, but that's about as far as I go. Okay, let's also check on the chickpeas now, because they've been naturally depressurizing. I'm going to kill the pressure on it, and I'm going to see if it's nice and tender on the inside now. Take it and just stir it around. It's going to get there. Just be nice and patient. Just flip it around, move it around, keep it distributed. Also, everybody, I do think I made my stove shot. How do we feel about like the new stove shot settings? I changed some stuff around. I think I got it to look a little bit brighter. Also, we don't want to bang the edge of the pot. We can damage the enamel that way too. It's great, right? Like you can actually see everything going on inside of it. I felt like before it was a little bit too dark. We're going to, guys, I want to keep improving the stream. I want to keep making it better. If you want to help me make it better, again, cameras, lighting, groceries, all of that stuff costs money. Please, 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 if you can, check out the Patreon. Any little bit helps. We're getting closer and closer to the goal of fully funding these streams because I want to do this full time. I want to teach you all how to cook. I want to help you all. Okay, let's see what's happening with my chickpeas. Okay, there you go. That looks a lot better now. I'm going to show you all my chickpeas. That pot is done, and now it needs to cool down because we're making a salad out of these bad boys. We're making a salad out of it. I have no idea how to do an oven shot in here. Oh, so J-Bach, the coolest thing about my setup is that I built all of this on a rolling cart. I have a rolling cart with my light, my camera, my overhead camera, and my laptop, and I wheel it in and out of the kitchen. This is a setup that I designed myself with the help of a couple of other people because the goal of this was that I didn't want cameras all over my kitchen. I'm very proud of my home cooking studio because it fits into my home. This isn't the studio, guys. This isn't the studio. This is my home kitchen. This is where I live. This isn't a separate facility where we can just have cameras and stuff lying all over the kitchen. This is how people, you know, in New York sometimes cook. Also, thank you for the reminder to hydrate. Okay, let's give this a nice little stir because now we can really sense the sound of the vegetables is changing. I want you all to hear. Do you hear that sizzle? Do you hear that sizzle? That sizzle is telling us when we start getting a high end. This is the music, this is the sound of cooking. This is something that I want all of you to also learn and build over time. The sound and the music of cooking. When you hear a high end psst, that is telling you that something is cooking in fat, that it is frying, and that it can burn, or it can also develop beautiful color. But if you hear a more mid-end psh, right, hear the difference in those two sounds, a pss and a psh. That's telling you that it's cooking in water, and that it's currently evaporating liquid. And now, the sound is getting higher and higher end, because the water is evaporating, and the pss sound is telling us that it's cooking in the fat now. The water prevents it from getting any sort of color. It prevents it from cooking in the fat. But we're evaporating the liquid out of the vegetables, and it's now slowly developing color, and you can smell it. You can smell these aromatics, my friends. And it's going to take time. Don't rush this process, okay? Do not rush it. Do not crank up that heat or anything. I promise you, you will get beautifully cooked vegetables in oil with just a little bit of patience, just a little bit of time. I'm gonna try my chickpeas again, just to see, hey, is this the texture that I want for today? That's the texture I wanted. But yeah, this is how we saute things. And I know this might seem obvious to some of you that may have cooked a little bit longer, but to a lot of people, nobody has ever explained to them the step of these things. And this is what I hate about the majority of cooking content and recipes, because it's content for the sake of content without helping people. people who are just getting started into cooking, they don't know, why do we cook things low and slow over an extended amount of time? What is the sound that we're looking for? What is the significance of each step? I want all of you to ask me questions. I want to help you build a sense of intuition without always needing trial and error. I want to help you feel comfortable in the kitchen. I want you to feel that you can do anything that you want, that you can look at your ingredients and then immediately be like, yeah, I can do all these cool things to it. That is what I want to teach people how to do at cooking at home. This is the first truly autistic cooking show. That's right, Jay Bach. That's right. The first truly. This cooking show is dripping with autism in the best possible way. There's no bad way for it to drip with autism. Okay? You got it. How'd you know, by the way? How could you tell? Anyways. We're cooking down the aromatics. We're building a lot of flavor this way. We're getting nice and sweet, and we're slowly getting that color developed. If you don't want to go through this step, you don't have to. You can also just boil it. But when you have the time, it's a Sunday. We want to make a big, beautiful pot of soup to last us the week. So putting in the effort now, you're going to thank yourself a little bit later on. Let's just scrape off all those vegetables. And you can see the vegetables are shrinking. As the water cooks down, as the texture of it collapses, it's getting more and more concentrated, more and more sticky at the bottom. Okay? I don't hide it at all. A seventh sense, yeah. Yeah, very few people have been able to pick up on in the past that I'm autistic. Very few people. Surely. But yes, I just want to help you all. And so that's why, once again, I implore you, if any of you have any questions whatsoever. So this isn't the Holy Trinity. Also, welcome on in, Allie. Welcome, welcome. This isn't the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity in Cajun cooking, actually, I don't know if it's called the Holy Trinity in French cooking, but the Holy Trinity is what I consider Cajun and Creole cooking, where it's celery, bell peppers, onions. This is carrot, celery, onions. This is the French Trinity, not the Cajun Creole one. So, why is the Dutch oven an oval? That's a very good question. It's because Dutch ovens have been traditionally used as an oven for specifically bread loaves. An oval also lets you, again, it lets you use things like pasta in it. And as you mentioned, it can also do a whole chicken in it as well. Okay? Because something like spaghetti, it can fit the length of it. And I want you all to take a look. Can you see? I want to make sure that my camera is nicely focused here. It's focused on the wrong part. I'm going to change the focus on it slightly. Okay, I want you all to see. I want you to see the oil now bubbling around the vegetables. We need to make sure that we have enough oil that it's able to surround them. And now we're building some of that caramelization. We're getting some of that delicious brown flavor developed. And that's because we were nice and patient with it. We were nice and patient. We're not stirring it too often, but we're not stirring it too little. We're cooking out the liquid little by little, and we're developing the flavor through the soup. Because it's a purely vegetarian soup. We're using water. We're not using a chicken stock. And so we have to give everything here a lot of extra love to make the whole thing sing. Okay? And also, Dennis, I love being on camera. My whole life, I have been on camera in different ways. I was 13 years old. I was on Chop Jr. I'm a professional esports commentator. I've been doing Smash and Brawlhalla commentary professionally for the last 4 to 5 years. I love being on camera. I love talking to people, and I love teaching people things. So, to me, being on camera isn't a challenge at all. It's just an environment that I love being in. I love live broadcast above all else. And that's why I don't think I ever want to do video content. I mean, I upload my VODs for sure, but I never like doing edited video content. I like being in a live setting where everything I do, and I'm like constantly under this pressure of like, oh, I don't have a chance to do 2-3 takes. I love the pressure of always needing to perform 100%, 110%, 100% of the time. You know, to me, it's the most, it's fun. It's cool. Makes me feel good. Okay. Once again, we're going to give this a little stir. And now you can really see the color is developing. The smell is changing. You really get that nice caramelized smell. I want you all to listen to the food. I want you to listen to how the sound is changing. I want you to look at how the color is changing. And I want you to be able to smell it. And over time, you will build your intuition as a cook, as a home chef. I want all of you to say, yes, chef, right now. Please and thank you. Just make sure you're scraping up the bottom, because sometimes those sugars right? Anything that's dissolved out of the vegetables, they can just start sticking to the bottom. But look at this beautiful color that we're getting now, okay? This is gonna be the base of the soup. This is what's going to give us all of that flavor to be able to compensate for the lack of a chicken stock, okay? We're being nice and patient. We're not rushing anything. Going on high heat will just char the inside of the vegetable, but you won't actually properly caramelize all of it. So medium heat. But yeah, that's why guys, I really don't like shooting for like edited content, edited videos like TikToks or YouTube videos, like a 20-minute YouTube video, because I love being on camera for 3 to 4 hours at a time and people listening on live. That's what I do with commentary, you know? I don't say things with the intention of cutting out the bad things that I say, right? I don't say things with the intention of, oh, I said this wrong, I'm going to do this over as many times as it needs. I find that process ridiculous. And instead, I just want to do something not just right, I want to do something perfectly the first time around. Or as close to it as we can. And then if I mess up, I want to come back from it. Okay, chat. It's been happening. My vegetables have gotten all of the color that I want them to get. You can push it, of course, as much as you would like. The longer that you cook it, though, I mean, you don't get, like, diminishing returns. It's just that you really can't feel it after a certain point. We don't need, like, deeply caramelized vegetables. We just want everything to get a nice, beautiful golden brown on it. Okay, so there is a reason why we didn't do the garlic so far. It's because the garlic has a tendency to burn because of all the sugars in it. So we're adding in the garlic at this stage. At this stage in the process, we're adding in all of this garlic, this ridiculous quantity of garlic, and we're also adding in the red pepper flakes to get these to toast up. And then we're also adding in a lot of black pepper because we want to fry this in the oil so that the oil is then flavored with all of these different aromatics. So grind in the black pepper, grind it in, grind it in, grind it in, and now stir it around because you don't want the pepper to burn, you don't want your garlic to burn, and you're going to cook this for about a minute. It's on a medium heat, so it won't burn that easily, but it will start occasionally sticking to the bottom. The red pepper flakes, the garlic is in. So break up the clusters and keep it moving now. Because again, you don't want the garlic to stick to the bottom. You don't want it to squelch. It gets unpleasant. It gets very, very bitter that way. So just stir it around and keep it moving. But keepers, guess what? I am a perfectionist. I just want to I want to make things perfect live, is the thing. That's the difference. Okay, that should be enough. Again, the idea is we just want to fry the garlic. We don't want to squelch it. We want to fry the pepper that we just added in. This is going to be the base of the soup. This is going to be the flavor. And now we're adding in the tomatoes. The tomatoes are wet. They're going to effectively stop the frying process. So in they go. They're going to release all of their liquid and they're going to stop anything from potentially squelching on the bottom. So we're building flavor. We're building flavor. We're mixing it all the way around and we're getting the tomato water distributed. We're not really going to cook the tomatoes in a way to develop color on them because in order to do that, we have to evaporate a lot of liquid from the tomatoes and that will take a substantial amount of time. Okay, that I really don't want to give it. It's going to take a non-pleasant amount of time. I don't think it's particularly worth it for something like this. So we're just not going to do it. Okay. Again, we're not frying these tomatoes. We're just distributing it nice and evenly. The only thing we're going to do, actually we're going to add a splash of soy sauce now. There's a reason why I'm adding in some soy sauce. The soy sauce is going to provide a little bit of meatiness into the whole thing. Because this is a completely vegetarian soup today, the soup lacks that meaty oomph of flavor. So we're just doing a splash of soy sauce. Not a lot. This is just enough to give the whole thing a little bit of flavor. And we're just frying it off, cooking it out for a second so that we don't get like the raw, harsh taste of soy sauce. Just give it a second. And now we're going in with the water. Plenty of water because we're making a soup. Now we start to begin building the broth. Okay, there you go. This is the start of something special, everybody. This is the start of the broth for today's soup. And it needs time to cook. This is going to need at least 20 to 30 minutes of cooking on its own. Why, you may ask? Well, because we want the flavors of the vegetables, we want everything to basically melt in, we want the tomatoes to melt in, and we want to bring the whole thing up now to a boil. I'm getting it in there and I'm scraping off anything that could be stuck to the bottom. We want this broth to be infused with the flavor of everything else. We want the vegetables to soften. Okay? So I'm going to slap a lid on it because, again, the goal isn't to like reduce it at this stage. It's just for us to get this heated up. Slap a lid on it. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, chef, how do you store your vegetables in the fridge or outside of it? Very good question. It depends on the vegetable. Potatoes and onions and garlic I keep outside of the fridge. Herbs, I wash them. I throw them into my salad spinner. Okay? And then I dry them off and I put them in a Tupperware with a little paper towel. Typically speaking, a lot of root vegetables, they don't need refrigeration, but things like carrots I keep inside. So the only things I keep outside of a fridge, I just do potatoes, potatoes, onions, and garlic outside of the fridge. Everything else, in the fridge it goes. I hope that helps. Okay, chat, guess what? Let's do a little recap session. Who is ready for another Daramgar official Daramgar recap session? Today's stream is going a lot longer than I thought it would be, and honestly, I'm okay with that. You guys okay with the length of today's stream? Because we're not done cooking. We're not done cooking yet. So, we're doing a couple of things. First step, we're doing this gorgeous kale tomato soup because I wanted something light. We do a lot of meat dishes. We do a lot of very like rich stews and creams on the stream. We're keeping it light. Kale tomato stew, basically vegetarian minus the addition of the Parmesan cheese, which we'll do later on. We fried the aromatic base, the French Trinity, the mirepoix. You see this used all the time in French and Italian cooking and in other cuisines as well. Carrots, onions, celery, finely diced so that it adds to the broth but we don't bite into big pieces of it. Finely diced so that it basically melts in. We fried it in a bunch of olive oil because olive oil is a nice, delicious, tasty fat. We don't want to use canola oil, we don't want to use other forms of fat because they don't taste that pleasant and it's all going into the soup. You can use things like butter, you can use things like animal fat. I just encourage you to use a fat that is so delicious that you can just eat it on some bread. So we cook it down and we cooked it nice and medium and slow to build up that color, to build up that flavor. We added in garlic, we added in red pepper flakes, we added in black pepper. We threw in some tomatoes, a little bit of soy sauce just for some meatiness. Just for a little bit of oomph. Because soy sauce has like those really delicious fermented flavors. Soy sauce has that meaty flavor, and this is a vegetarian dish. And so it needs, in my opinion, that meaty kick. You can do fish sauce, you can do soy sauce, you can even do Worcestershire sauce, you can just do straight MSG. Tomatoes will also give you some of that meatiness. But now, we're just going to bring this up to a boil, drop to a simmer, and gently simmer this along. How do I use 2 cameras in one live stream? That's a complicated question. Wait, you think I do 2 cameras in one live stream? I have 3 cameras in one live stream. Sorry, I just wanted to brag. I've been working in esports production for a long time, so, and I had some help with some lovely people. That's all. Okay. I am a pro. I do this professionally, don't I? Okay. So, we're also making a chickpea salad. Let's go back to the stove. Actually, I'll just show you right now. We finished pressure cooking this thing of chickpeas. Right? Look at it. Homemade chickpeas. Because guess what? I hate canned beans. I hate canned beans. They're a convenient product, but they're selling you mostly water weight. Dried beans are up to 25% cheaper, maybe sometimes 50% cheaper. And then you're also able to control the texture of it. If you buy canned chickpeas, they'll be too soft for a salad because they get really, really mushy that way. They really overcook them in a canned form. You can do this with your phones, yes. Although I don't really recommend it because phones add a lot of latency, so I don't love using phones as cameras. They're not very well suited for 3-hour, 4-hour recordings. So this is all with cameras. But you can. As a starter setup, you can, but it's not a forever setup. So, we have all these chickpeas. We want to cool this off, and then we want to get rid of the onion. We kept the onion, the garlic, and the bay leaves intact so that we can easily pull them out after. Okay? The reason why we don't chop it up is otherwise we'll just get a bunch of boiled onions in the chickpeas. And guess what? Chat, do you want boiled onions in your chickpeas? I want to hear a no, chef. Right now. Please and thank you. I don't even need to say please. You're gonna tell me, no chef. We don't want boiled onions in our chickpeas. So I'm gonna use this tool. I'm gonna use a spider. You can use whatever you want, really. Just to be able to gently take everything and pick it out. We don't wanna smush this onion. You can eat it, but it has no flavor because it was pressure cooked. All of the flavor of the onion has now been imparted to the other stuff here. So take that garlic clove, take it, you see that with the skin on still? Pop it out. We don't want it. We don't want you. Okay, you see this? Take it out. And this liquid, by the way, you don't have to throw this away. I don't have any use for the chickpea liquid, but this is also something called aquafaba. And a lot of vegetarian and vegan cooking and also in other cuisines, aquafaba is used in place of egg whites because it has a lot of proteins that can then hold onto the air. Yeah, you can use the onion for compost, but this boiled onion at this point, it has lost all of its flavor, all of its sweetness. It has nothing else to add. It has nothing else to provide to us. So I would personally just throw it away or compost it. You can also just eat boiled onions, but I wouldn't eat a pressure cooked boiled onion. To me, a pressure cooked boiled onion is completely lacking in substance, in any flavor whatsoever. It's nothing. Right? You eat it, it's basically nothing. Okay, let's taste this. I mean, J-Buck, I already do that as it is. I do already do that. Okay. Just again, I'm picking out some of the skins that I see like left over. Right? You can see like these skins, easy to pick out. You can see these skins, easy to pick out. Some of these are the chickpea skins, you can leave them on, and it's chill. Okay, here's all I'm gonna do though. I have a strainer set up over the bowl. And the idea is I just want to get rid of all that excess liquid from the chickpeas when they're warm, because they're effectively going to end up steam drying, which is really, really nice. By steam drying my chickpeas, we're just going to get rid of the excess liquid and we'll make sure that they're not diluting the salad. You don't need the chickpea liquid for the salad. So just like this, chat, this is all you need to do. And I have a laptop that I'm using for the streams. So all I did, this is all of the chickpeas that I want. Maybe we'll do like another splash for the salad itself. And the reason we're doing this, again, is because I want to just get rid of all that excess liquid. So we're setting it up over the strainer. You don't really have to do this or put that much effort in. But these are my freshly cooked chickpeas. Oh yeah, very nice, delicious. Okay, I'm setting that behind me. We don't need it for now. And those other chickpeas, guys, we're going to use them on Wednesday. Because remember, I stream 3 times a week, Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We don't need all those chickpeas for today. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the pot. How is Mr. Soup doing? Has it come to a boil yet? Not quite, because the water was cold. But give it a little stir around. The soup is coming together, guys, slowly but surely. Look at that beautiful color on the soup. Look at the color on that soup. Let's give it a little taste. I'm just curious where the taste is at. It just tastes like water right now. But it will get there, I promise you. As the vegetables extract, the vegetables will impart a beautiful sweetness into the whole thing. Okay? It's getting there. It just needs time. It needs time. It needs a little bit of love. It needs a little bit of care. It needs a little bit of effort. It's going to be bland at this stage. It's going to get more flavorful over the process of cooking it, because the aromatics are going to be extracted into the whole thing. The tomatoes, the carrots, the onions, the celery, everything. But right now, it's a little bit bland, and that's okay. It will get there, I promise you. Okay. Let's go back to the salad. Let's go back to Mr. Salad in the meantime. So, everybody, we're going to do what I love doing with tomatoes for salads. Who knows what we always do when we do tomato salads? Who knows? Chat, who can tell me? What do we do with a tomato? Man, my overhead camera looks really red today. Ooh, why is, oh, it's because I put something hot on. That's why. When we do tomatoes free salad, that's right, Trash Can Cat Mom, we salt it. We salt our tomatoes. So here's all we gotta do. We don't throw it away. You cut that out right now. Okay, my cutting board is a little wet because I put something hot on, which I really shouldn't have done, but that's okay. So we salt it. Why do we salt it? We don't just salt it to season the tomato. We salt it to get rid of the excess liquid inside of the tomato because tomatoes are wet. So here's what we do. We cut it in half. We cut out the core with diagonal incisions because the core is woody and has an unpleasant texture. Just like so. And now think about the size that you want. I like chopped salads. I like having a small medium dice on this, the same size as my chickpeas. We're doing base to tip on my slices. Whoop. Base to tip. Just like so. Do the same on the other one. Base to tip, base to tip, base to tip, base to tip. Because that way it doesn't stick to the tomato itself. And now we get to just cube it up. I want this to be roughly the same size as each chickpea. Because it's nice when everything is the same size. It's nice when everything has the same texture like that. Okay. There you go. That's all that. Beautiful. And that's it. That's all my tomatoes. Just one tomato I'm using. I'm going to take it and I'm just putting it into my bowl. And I'm going to just wipe down my station. Now guys, my soup is boiling. And we got to let that thing boil. We need to let those vegetables extract all of the goodness, all of the flavor. Yeah, Allie, I'm gonna add a couple more things to my wish list every time. The best thing that people can do though is to support me on Patreon and not my wish list. Because the grocery costs for these things are crazy. Yeah, there's a couple of things I'm going to add to it. Okay, everybody, tomatoes. Also, Dennis, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. We're going to salt this. We're going to salt this thing heavily. We need a little bit too much salt. A lot of the salt is going to dissipate. Why are we doing this in advance? We're doing this in advance so that we draw out all of the excess liquid. Just take it and mix it up. I don't know how to build an automatic tree farm. Thank you for being here, Dennis. Just like so. Okay. I'm going to just put that behind me. Okay. Oh, we're going to do the croutons for the salad in a second. And, ooh, I forgot a pot of water in here. Oh no, that's just been sitting in my oven for the day. Lol. Okay, I'll get back to that later. For my croutons, guys, we need to set the oven to 375 degrees. Again, I'm doing the Serious Eats method for the croutons. 375 degrees. Set that oven, get that going now. And it won't take too long. It'll be nice and easy for us to do. Okay, the next step that we have to do in advance is going to be the onions. Guys, when you have onions in a salad, they have a tendency to be a little bit too acidic. They have a tendency to be a little bit too harsh. Not acidic, that's the wrong word. They tend to be a little bit too pungent. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to need half a red onion for today's salad. Have a nice medium or large red onion. Okay? And this guy, I'm just going to put this in my fridge for another time because we do not need him at the moment. We don't need him. We don't claim him. Okay. Is everybody still watching? Is everybody still excited for today's soup? I want to hear a nice yes chef from everybody watching right now. Please and thank you. Okay, here's what we need. We're going to use the bowl that will build the rest of the salad in. This is the bowl where the salad's going to go in. Okay, so I'm just going to have that set aside for now, for a second. I want to get this a little further out this way. There you go. Just so you can see this better. Okay, let's think about the size of the onions that we want. If your onions are too big, of course, it's just going to take up your entire forkful and it'll be a little bit unpleasant. I want this to be, again, a small to medium dice, the same size as the tomatoes roughly. I'm using half a red onion because I love red onions in my salads. It's a simple, delicious salad. We're fanning out this onion. We're fanning it out. So trash can cat mom, I do wrap it. I put like a cup over it. I just keep it closed. I don't use plastic bags because that's a little wasteful. But that's all I do with it. Okay. This broth is going, and I'm going to taste it once again. Through that little bit of cooking, it's already extracted. Ooh, that's spicy. It's already extracted a substantial amount of flavor. Okay, small to medium dice, same size as the tomatoes, basically, a little smaller. Hello to Deona. Hello. And it's just going to break down into its little layers. Again, not a fine dice. We just want the tomatoes, the onions, the chickpeas to all be roughly the same size. Okay. And now we're just going to take the onions and we're just going to dump it in a bowl. Half a good onion going in. Okay. Chat, here's what we do to make onions not too acidic in the salad. We're basically going to be soaking these in something acidic. Stop them from being too pungent in the salad, rather. Raw red onions, depending on the onion, of course, it can be really, really intense. So, I'm going to be using lemon juice for today's salad. You can use vinegar, you can use anything else. You can probably get away with soaking this in your dressing. But I'm going to be using some lemon juice. So, the lemon juice, the acidity of the lemon juice, it's going to help tone down the pungency of the onion by just letting it sit together, by just letting it sit with it. I have my lemon juice here. We're going to cut the lemon in half. I'm going to keep the rest of the lemon for something else later. We're using half a lemon's worth of juice for this. And here's what we do. Everybody, number one mistake, don't put your lemon like along the curve of your citrus juicer. If you do this, the juice is all going to squirt up. You actually have to do the opposite. You have to put it down like this. It might seem counterintuitive because you're like, oh, this fits in. But trust me, you want to do it like this. And now, because this is a tabletop juicer, that's all we got to do. Just press it down. This is why I really, really like this KitchenAid tabletop juicer. So I don't have to just do it in my hands. And now take a look. Take a look. Look at all that lemon juice that came out. Excellent. You do need to get one of these. I think everybody should get one of these. This is one of my favorite kitchen tools. Lemon juice, covering my onions. Just shake it around, make sure that it's all over it. And it's just going to sit together. It's going to sit together. We no longer need that half. Look at it, pressed out. I miss her, sorry. Don't, ignore what I just said, please, thank you. Okay, and it's just going to sit together a little bit. And the reason we're doing this, again, is we want to get rid of some of the pungency in the onion. This is a very nice way to do it for salads. Naturally, as it sits in the fridge, right, it's going to lose some of that pungency. But it'll be okay. Guys, you heard nothing. Chat, you guys didn't hear anything, okay? I'm just going to mix it around a little bit. Do I have something else in my oven? No. It still smells, from my thermometer that exploded. That's right. The soup is looking great. The soup is cooking. We're just building the broth of the soup at the moment. Okay. There we go. Okay. I can just put these onions behind me. All right. So, let's get this sheet tray lined with a little bit of foil because this is a fairly old sheet tray. I do need new sheet trays at some point, but these will still do for now. And we're just going to line this bad boy with a little bit of foil. You don't have to do it with foil. We're going to be making some homemade croutons, everybody. But yeah, honestly, the soup has now cooked enough that we can start putting in some of the other vegetables that we need for it. So, let's talk about this really quickly. Let's talk about this. Chat. The order of which you adding vegetables is essential. The aromatics in the beginning, the carrots, onion, celery, it's all going to get cooked the most. It's getting cooked the most out of everything else so that its flavors extract and those vegetables break down. The vegetables that we want for their texture, think of the kale, think of the potatoes, think of that kind of thing. We want to make sure we're adding it later on into the process so it does not get overcooked. Okay? So, let's give this a little stir around. Let's see how it's doing. Let's ask how it's doing. Chat, can you please ask how the soup is doing? Ooh, that was a lot of good pepper flakes. Wow. It's gonna be fine when we add the other things in, but that might have been too many pepper flakes. I don't think I wanted that much spice. Oh yeah, it's building flavor slowly but surely. Okay. So now let's think about what vegetables we want to go in and when. We're going to do the zucchini first because it needs a bit of a head start above the potatoes. The potatoes we don't want to overcook at all. If we overcook the potatoes, what's going to happen is it's going to turn the whole thing into a puree. So here's my order of operations. We're going to do the zucchini for about 5 minutes. We're going to do the kale for another 5 minutes, and then we'll add the potatoes in. And then we're going to cook it as long as the potatoes need. So let's set a timer. Let's set some timers. And we're going in. We're going in with my zucchini. Let's get this thing nice and soft. All of my zucchini going in now. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to come back up to a boil because again, it was cold, the broth was hot, so it is. That's how it goes. And I no longer need this. I'll put this into my dishwasher because we have to clean as we go and we cook at home. Five minutes. Although it's not exact, you can just feel it out. Okay, any questions? Any questions so far? Because we're gonna just be slowing down now. We're just gonna be building out the salad now, everybody. We're keeping it really, really simple. Just gotta check on a note really quickly. Okay, hi. It looks good? Well, I'm glad it looks good. Well. Oh, my oven is preheated. Everybody, it's time to make some croutons. It's time to make some homemade croutons. Okay. So again, we're just taking the soup and we're taking it back up to a boil. In the meantime, let's work on the croutons for the salad today. So, the best way to make croutons is to use stale bread. I feel like a lot of people, they don't really keep bread at home anymore. Chat, I have a question for all of you. How often do you keep a loaf of bread in your home? I find that a lot of young people, they don't really keep loaves of bread. The contemporary family structure, and it kind of depends where you come from, which country. How many of you keep a loaf of bread in your home always? All the time? Wow. No, 2 weeks max. Are you talking about like once every 2 weeks? I would also like to know how long you keep it at home. I don't mean like pre-sliced bread, I mean like a loaf loaf of some kind. But here's the thing. Ultimately, eventually, at some point or another, there is a challenge with a loaf of bread, especially if you live by yourself. It can be difficult to get through. Look at how much bread this is. This is a lot of bread. This will end up going stale, especially if it's a very nice bread that doesn't have any preservatives. It's going to end up going stale in a few days' time, immediately after purchasing, or maybe like a week after, if you have like the correct box. So it can be difficult to keep bread at home. And that's why it's important to have a proper list of dishes that you can make that use stale bread. Because at home, I don't eat bread every single day. When I buy a loaf of bread, it's a bit of a commitment. I've been trying to get this tag off. You know what, that's enough. I'm ripping this off. Enough. I'm cutting it off, I've decided. Ah! Why is this so difficult? What is going on? Okay, that's it. Goodbye, you're done. That might have been a mistake, but that's okay. So it can be difficult to get through a lot of bread, especially when you live by yourself, to get like a nice loaf like this. Okay? And so what a really nice thing to do is to turn it into croutons. This isn't stale bread, but if it was stale bread, it would have worked all that much better. Okay? So let's go ahead and cut off a slab of it. I don't know how much. We're gonna cut off, how many croutons do I wanna make? Let's cut off this much of the bread. Okay? Really, really soft on the inside, whatever. We're cutting off this much bread, we're making this many croutons. I'm going to take it, oh, it's a pretty nice looking bread, I gotta say. I'm going to take it, I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna put this in my cupboard. In my pantry. Let's cut the heel of it off, just as a little snack. I think it's time for a little bread and butter, actually. That's what I want right now. I want a little bit of bread, I want a little bit of butter. Let's have a little snack. It's bread. It's supermarket bread. It's not amazing. But with a little butter, it goes a long way. Okay, so for croutons, the size is basically up to you. Think about the thickness that you want on a crouton. I like medium-sized croutons. I like medium-sized croutons. I don't want croutons that are so big that they don't fit on a spoonful or a forkful of salad. Right? Because the idea is you want to be able to scoop it up, but you don't want it to occupy the whole thing. So we're going to do like a medium-sized crouton. Let's go ahead and slice up my bread. One. I do have a bread knife, but it's just not very good. So a chef's knife is going to be just fine. It's fine. It's fine. You see, it's doing just fine. Okay. And one more. I need a new serrated knife for sure though. Okay, and now let's just cut some chunks. I'm thinking about the size of it. Let's do something like that. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Something like this. This is what I think for a crouton. Okay, this is what I think would be optimal for a crouton. Okay, let's just start throwing this onto my sheet tray. Or rather, ideally, I would have a bowl to toss this in with the oil. I don't think I will, though. I don't think I can do that. I might not actually make croutons out of all of this bread. I might just put some of the sliced bread away. I realize I don't need that many croutons, but that's okay. That's just fine. So 1, 2, and 3. And again, this is what's also really nice. A lot of uses for stale bread, the crusts aren't very useful, but for croutons, they have plenty of use. Okay, let's see how many that yields for us. No, this is gonna be for the salad. These are not croutons, these croutons are purely for the salad, although you can put them on the soup as well. Okay, you just wanna make sure that your sheet tray is not overcrowded with these. Okay? So like you see this much, you need to make sure that they have enough space between them. I'm not going to do the rest of them. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put these slices of bread away. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody in chat have any questions at this moment in time? Because guess what? I'm here to help you learn how to cook. Also, really quickly, we're going to add in the kale now into my soup. And you're going to see really quickly how much that kale just reduces and breaks down, even with just a little bit of cooking. Let's add the kale in. So kale, big bowl of it, and now we're just throwing it in. Throwing all of this beautiful stuff in. And it's gonna need salt, so don't worry about that right now. We'll add salt later. Whoop. We wanna get all of this kale inside of the pot because this is a kale soup, everybody. It's all about the kale today. The kale is the star of the show. And you might think, oh, Daramgar, your pot is overfilled. Your pot is overfilled. It will all wilt down, I promise you. This kale is going to lose so much volume in just a second. So put it in there, just flip it around for a second, and we're gonna slap a lid on it to help it steam. This is gonna help it steam, okay? Put a lid on, perfect. That's all we want out of it. Kale tomato soup, that's right. Just give it a second. Kale is a friend of spinach, yes, they go way back. Okay. So, everybody, really, really important. Really, really, really important, okay? I want you to come back over here. We have a bowl ready. I mean, the texture of kale after being cooked, it's very similar to that of like spinach, except it has a little bit more bite. It's really similar to collard greens. So, we're making croutons. I wanted to make sure that my croutons all fit on my sheet tray. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're seasoning this with the oil that we made. Everybody, remember the garlic infused olive oil that we did? Remember this bad boy? We're going to keep some of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to strain some of this out and we're going to toss this with the oil because we need the oil to help make sure that it evenly gets caramelized so that it evenly toasts in the oven. Without the oil, it's going to have the texture of toast and not that of a crouton. And the rest of the garlic infused oil we're going to keep for the salad. So we're not wasting any of it. So we need enough to be able to generously and evenly cover the croutons that we're doing. So take a look, little baby strainer. Oil gets poured in. We don't need it to be too greasy, but we just want to make sure that all of the bread is covered up and it's soaking up the oil because it's going to fry in all of that fat. Okay, so you see there's still like a couple of like naked parts. We're going to do a touch of oil more, just a touch. Something like that, and just move it around before it all soaks in. And now guess what? This bread can now easily hold onto some seasoning. Because of the fact that we lubricated it first with the oil, this allows the salt and the pepper that we're about to add to stick onto it really, really easily. Okay? So salt. Well, also, we're gonna check on the soup. I wanna show you the soup right now. Let's just push down this kale really, really quickly. Push it all down, and it's all going to reduce, I promise. Just fold it in. Fold that kale in. Fold it in. And it's all going to cook down in a few moments' time, I promise. Beautiful kale tomato soup. We may need a lot more water though, because the kale is trapping in a lot of liquid. Okay, put a lid back on. We're using a whole kale for this. Okay, and now let's get some salt in. Can spinach be substituted for kale? Yeah, you can. Although for spinach, I would add it in a lot later. The spinach needs substantially less cooking time than the kale does. And we're adding in some black pepper. Okay? And now, because again, we heavily covered this with all of that oil, it's going to get a beautiful color. And it's holding onto all of the seasoning. Look at that. Perfect. A little bit more black pepper. And onto my sheet tray. And we're doing 375 for about 15 minutes. Again, this is Serious Eats. This is the Serious Eats croutons that I'm using here. And you want to spread them out. You want to make sure they're not bunched up too close together. If they're bunched up too close together, they're just going to end up steaming and not getting too crusty. You want to make sure that your temperature is a nice medium, like a 375 and not like a 500 or anything, because otherwise you're just going to burn the inside before you cook out the moisture of the bread. A crouton is all about slowly cooking the liquid out of the bread. So, in they go. Just toss them on in, and we might mix them around here and there. And we're setting a timer for 15 minutes, and then we'll just take a little peek. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and look at my lovely kale. Let's see what's happening with my kale. Hey guys, okay? And so you can see all of that beautiful kale has now ended up cooking down. We no longer need that lid. That lid has done its job for us. The kale has basically reduced. But the soup is now getting super, super thick. It's no longer a soup. It is a kale salad that is holding on the dressing. So mix it around. Get it all broken up because the kale's in a bunch of clusters. But this soup, guys, is now coming to form. Does anybody have any questions so far? We're going to also hit this with a lot of salt right now because it needs that seasoning at this stage in the process. And we're also going to hit it with some water, because this is a little bit too dry now. It's gonna get flavor. Don't worry about the flavor aspect, guys. It's gonna become flavorful. Okay. Adding in some more water, just to make sure that everything is nicely covered, because this is a soup after all and not a salad. Oh yeah, that's a lot of kale. I wanted a kale soup. I wanted something really nice, something really healthy. You, of course, didn't have to use as much kale as I did, but I love kale in applications and soups like these. Okay, so that's now covered up. Everybody, it's time to add in the potatoes. The potatoes go in last. Why did the potatoes go in last? Because if we added them in sooner, the potatoes, they would break down, they would get overcooked, and the whole soup would become mushy. And I don't want that texture out of the potatoes. I don't want them to do that to my beautiful little soup. So I'm pouring out all of the liquid that we covered the potatoes with. And in they go. And we're just gonna tuck them in. We're gonna tuck them in good night. Okay? I know it's getting super thick, guys. I promise you, we can just add in more liquid as needed. Tuck in the potatoes good night. Tuck them in, tuck them in, tuck them in. Okay? And then we're gonna slap a lid on it, bring it to a boil, drop it to a simmer, and cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes until the potatoes are done cooking and tender throughout. Okay? So take a lid, slap that bad boy on. There you go. And everybody, we've done the majority of the work so far. We're doing the kale tomato soup. We're doing the chickpea salad. Everything is all coming together, and we're also doing the croutons as well at the same time. We're doing homemade croutons. Store-bought croutons are so expensive, and they just do not taste good. They just do not taste good. Okay. So, everybody, let's do a little recap on the salad. Who's ready for a salad recap session? Who's ready to talk about my salad? Everybody ready to talk about the salad? So look at my red onions. My red onions, you can see that they got a little bit pink. I want to hear yes, chef, from everybody watching. Not just Moonhun, not just Rude Weirdo. Everybody wake up. Wakey, wakey. Eggs and bakey. Okay? The red onions, they sat with the vinegar. Why did they sit with the vinegar? Well, we did that in order to get rid of some of the pungency. Now we can just bite the raw onion. All the pungency is gone. And it is going to be a little bit too acidic. But all of this lemon juice is getting used up in the salad. All of it is just going to go in and basically build the dressing that is a salad. Okay, remember my chickpeas that we cooked? You better, because this is a chickpea salad. My chickpeas, they've cooled down. They're no longer hot, and they steam dried. They're no longer soaking wet. They won't dilute the salad. My chickpeas are going in. Okay? Just give that a little stir around. But again, we don't have to fully stir it in because we're still going to do the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna set this behind me. Remember my tomatoes sitting with the salt? You guys remember the tomatoes? Look at the tomatoes now. Look how much liquid came out of it. Look at all of that tomato liquid. We don't want that tomato liquid. We have no use for it. So take your tomatoes and dump them into the bowl. Into the strainer rather. The tomatoes are now perfectly seasoned, and we're getting rid of all of that. Look at all that excess liquid. Look at all of the liquid that just came out of the tomatoes. Okay, I'm gonna dump this liquid out. We don't need it. Just give it a second to drain. Yes, the strainer did a really good job for us. I'm very proud of him. He did truly wonderful. Okay. Tomatoes. That is now going to just get added in alongside the chickpeas. So, the chickpeas, the onions, we're still going to get some more saltiness. Right now the tomatoes are really, really salty. But we're going to get some more in the form of the Parmesan. We have some acidity in the form of the lemon. We're keeping the salad really, really simple today. Okay. There you go. It does not have enough salinity though. So it needs a big hit of salt. Is my soup boiling yet? It will be in just a second. I want to also check on my breadcrumbs. Ooh, my croutons. They're looking good. We're going to hit this with a good amount of salt. It needs that salt. Because remember, the chickpeas, the onions, those guys are all still unsalted. So 2 big pinches of that. And we're just adding it in. We're mixing it in. Get everything incorporated in here. Everything incorporated, everything mixed up. Really, really beautiful, really simple salad, guys. Really, really simple salad at the end of the day. Okay, next, remember the olive oil. Remember the olive oil that we made for the croutons, the infused olive oil? dump the rest of it in. This is also the infused garlic that we have. We're going to spoon in a little bit, but not too much of it, because otherwise it's going to just get too garlicky. Look at this perfect little thing of garlic. That olive oil is full of that delicious garlic flavor. And so we're going to taste it and we're going to decide, hey, do we actually want more garlic in this? And then if that's the case, then we'll put some in. And let's get some black pepper in here. Just grate it in, grind it in, get it done. Really simple flavors, everybody. This isn't rocket science. This is just a really, really simple chickpea salad. Okay. Let's give this all a little taste. See how it's doing. Ah. Simple, delicious, salty, acidic. Let's do a little bit of that garlic, a little touch of it. We don't need much, just a touch. And it's going to get more mild as it sits, but just this much garlic. I'm just gonna put that into the salad, and I'm gonna get this olive oil, the rest of it inside. Okay, everybody, there is one last step, and that's going to be the addition of the cheese, and I'm gonna show you how I like to do cheese in my salads. So, fairly like a little Italian salad, we're doing some Parmigiano in here. Okay, I'm gonna show you what we do. So I'm using some Parmigiano Reggiano. You can do this even with just plain old Parmesan. Parmigiano Reggiano is the imported stuff. It's the aged stuff, right? It's really, really good. Also, take a look at my potatoes, look at my kale and everything. We're just gonna make sure that the kale and the potatoes and everything is all submerged. Just get the potatoes submerged in the soup. Get it all mixed in, get it all submerged. Excellent. Okay, we're gonna keep that thing cooking. So, I'm gonna show you what we do. This is one of my favorite things to do for salads, for garnishes, anything imaginable. Chat, a vegetable peeler, the potato peeler that we used from before. Of course, we gave it a bit of a wash. We're going to peel shavings of Parmesan into the salad. It's a really, really nice way to do things. We're also going to repackage this in a new plastic bag because this plastic wrap isn't so great. Here's all we gotta do. Parmesan cheese, peeler. We're peeling off shavings of this stuff all the way in here, and then we'll do some on top later on. Just like this, just like this, just like this. Not too much of it. I think that should be enough for the salad right now because we're still gonna add some more on top. Also, this stuff is expensive, so I don't wanna use that much of it right now. And also just break up some of the shavings so that it does get evenly incorporated. And that way you get some, you know, some shavings. Also, keepers, that is a bit too personal of a question. I will not answer that. I would prefer not to. Okay. Get all those shavings in there. Perfect. Ooh, today is a long stream, isn't it? Everybody keeping up okay? Is everybody in chat keeping up with the stream okay? I want to make sure that you're all doing well. I want to look out for you. Okay? That's great. Yep. It's got the salinity. It's got the acidity. It's got the fat. It's got the garlic. I mean, this is a salad that has everything that you want in it. The tomato, the onion. That is a beautiful salad. And it's basically done. That's all that we really needed to do for it. The cheese I'm going to keep out because we're going to need some a little bit later on. I'm just going to take this whole thing. I'm going to make sure that the bottom is dry, and I'm going to just chill it out in the fridge. The salad is officially done, skis. It is done. If you had some fresh herbs, some parsley, some cilantro, you know, whatever, that would have also been the time to do it. Some basil would have been nice in there as well. I just didn't have any herbs. I didn't want to buy any more herbs today. You don't have to. This is a free-form salad. This isn't a recipe. Nothing I'm teaching you all is a recipe. Cheese I have out. I'm going to take a second to clean everything up. I don't think I actually need my cutting board for anything else now. Still going to need my peeler though. Okay, yeah, there is nothing else for us to chop up really. I'm also taking a look at my croutons. Oh, guys, the croutons, they look super good. We're gonna shake them. Homemade croutons, everybody. Really easy to do. So much better than store-bought croutons. Okay, also, give the soup a little stir once again. Make sure that everything is just evenly cooking, especially those potatoes. We have big pieces of potato in here. Want to just make sure that everything is extracting, everything is coming along the way it needs to. Okay, everybody, I want to show you my croutons really quickly. Look at my perfect, crispy croutons. We're just giving them a little shake, and we're going to distribute them, and we're going to finish cooking them. In total, around 15 minutes or so. But you can push these as little or as much as you would like. Look at the golden color on it. That's because of how much fat we added to it. The fat on the croutons stops it from being toast. The fat almost cooks it from the inside out because it soaks up the fat and then the fat heats up. And then it dries out the bread and then you get perfect, crispy little croutons every single time. It's a very essential step to properly make sure that it is fatted up. Okay? Olive oil, whatever else that you could be possibly using, you need fat when making croutons. You need it. Otherwise, it would just be toast. It would just be breadcrumbs. It is an essential component. I want to emphasize that. Okay, I'm going to get some water. And I'm just cleaning up a little bit. Now that I have some time, just putting some things into my dishwasher because, again, I'm cooking in a home kitchen, which means that you got to clean as you go in these types of circumstances. Otherwise, you're going to be left with a massive mess to clean up after. Excellent. Putting all this away. That is not a plastic cutting board. That is a composite wood. It's called an Epicurean cutting board. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me whatsoever about the salad, about what we're doing, about anything else related to food? Because remember, I am here to help you. I'm here to help you learn how to cook. Never forget that. Treat me as an asset. Treat me as an asset. Take advantage of my time, guys. Remember, we do these 3 times a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. What are my thoughts on induction versus electric versus gas cooktops? Really good question, Emrock. Here's my thoughts. They're all good for different things. The issue with gas is an environmental concern. There is a very strong environmental concern and it's not particularly energy efficient. I think gas is the most comfortable for me to cook on. I hate electric more than anything. I think induction will be the way of the future. Would I ever do streams more than 3 times a week? Trash can, I would need a full team of people. In the future, I want to run this like a cooking show. I want to have somebody handle my camera, somebody else, you know, like pull up things on, like from the chat to display on the screen. But for that, I need a lot of help because I'm a one-man show, a one-dog show. I can't do personally more than 3 cooking streams a week at this point, I think. I will only do 3 cooking streams, more than 3, if I missed one, and I want to make it up to all of you. But in the future, oh, guess what? My croutons are done. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. You don't want to cook it for too long because it will scorch if you leave it too unattended. All right, I hear you, buddy. I'll get you in a second. All right, we can turn that oven off. Let's get a towel nice and handy, just fold it up. I don't like using oven mitts, I just like using my kitchen towels. Purely a preferential thing. There you go. Everybody, look at these homemade croutons. Look at that. Perfect. That's what we want. I love croutons. It's such a simple thing, but they're just so great. And now it's just cooling off now. Did you see how easy it was to do homemade croutons? 375. Too high and it would char. Too low and it would just boil. 375 is a very nice middle ground temperature, although it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not an exact science. But you just don't want to have your heat be too high. And you need the fat. You need the fat in the croutons to make sure that it's evenly cooking. The fat is basically cooking the croutons from the inside out as the fat is bubbling inside of the bread. It needs to soak up the fat. Okay, so use a generous amount of oil until it's coated, and then the fat also sticks to the seasoning for the croutons. That is why I keep talking about it over and over again. It's such a small detail that people tend to miss, but it's honestly where all of the trick of it is. All of the magic of a very basic crouton is achieved with such a simple step. It's not time to eat yet. It's not, because the potatoes have to get fully cooked. The potatoes are still a little bit raw on the inside. Oh, guys, I think we have too much kale. Yeah, I think I'm looking at this and I'm like, that is an aggressive amount of kale. I can already tell you the potatoes are still too firm, so this is still going to have to cook a little bit longer. But I do want to taste this whole thing for seasoning. Let's taste it for seasoning. Let's taste it for salt. Let's see what it needs, what it doesn't need. That's the best way to cook. You can't just guess things. You have to taste things as they're going. Ooh, that flavor has cut up. Okay, Moonha asks me, is it important to keep soup uncovered? The answer is, I'm doing this mostly for the camera. I don't think it needs any more water, because then I'll dilute the flavor. I'll dilute the flavor of everything that I built. So I'm going to be okay with how much kale is in here, because otherwise I'll end up ruining the concentration of flavors. So yeah, this is too much kale, but it's a trade-off. The potato is getting there. Just give it a little bit more time. Just taste it. Just taste it. Get comfortable with it. Okay, just continuing to put all of my dirty dishes away. Just getting those done and out of the way and not have to worry or sweat about them anymore. Let's try a crouton. Let's see what it tastes like. Let's see what the texture is. Excellent. I mean, it's just a nice, properly toasted crouton. Ooh, it's a little bit hot. Everybody, homemade croutons. I don't want to see you do otherwise. I don't want to see you do otherwise. I don't want to see you use store-bought croutons. When they're warm, when they're fresh, when they're homemade, you can even store this. Because of the way that we heated this, you can store this, because it's just like olive oil and bread, for a few days in a little container. But they're best, of course, when they're fresh and they're warm still. And they're not too tough. They're like a nice tender crunch. Store-bought croutons, they tend to be sometimes so like hard that it just becomes unpleasant to eat. But everybody, the potatoes are almost done. Everything is almost there. It does need some salt. So we're gonna hit the whole thing with some salt. And we're gonna start plating the salad. Get the salt in there, dissolve it, mix it on through. Perfect. And so as for like lid on versus lid off, it's purely about controlling evaporation. I'm keeping the lid off for camera reasons so that you guys can actually see what's happening, but then also because I'm okay with still losing a little bit of more moisture. Okay, everybody, you ready to start plating the salad? Let's plate that salad up. We made a really, really basic, really simple salad. I want to hear a yes, chef. I want to make sure that everybody is awake. I know that this is a long stream today, but I want to make sure that you're all awake. Because I want you all to learn. Okay. So, bowl. Because I like bowls for salads. I don't like plates for salads. So this is the thing. In restaurants, I really don't like it when they plate their salads on a plate and not in a bowl. Because when it's on a plate, it's very difficult to scoop anything up. Everybody, this is a chopped salad. It's a chopped salad. If it's a chopped salad, you put it in a bowl. It's so much more convenient to eat this way. Nice and simple. But did you see how much technique we gave the salad? We didn't just cut everything and threw it together. No, not at all. I would never be caught dead doing that. We properly salted the tomatoes to get rid of the excess liquid. We added some acid to the tomatoes. Oh, my block of Parmesan. Oh no, what happened to it? That's weird. Okay, a little bit more Parmesan on top. And if you had some fresh herbs, this would also be the time and place. The rest of the Parmesan is going to go on top of the soup. Okay, let's try my soup one more time. Let's also try a potato piece and see if my potatoes are overcooked at all. Oh. Hot. The potato is hotter than I thought it would be, but that's okay. Okay, that's that. let's get the other bowl ready that we need for the soup. Really nice and healthy stream today. It still needs some more salt. I tasted it, it needs more salt. This is a big pot of soup, guys. Gotta make sure it's seasoned all the way through. You gotta season all those bland vegetables, all that kale, all those potatoes, everything. It has to be fully seasoned through. Take it and mix it around. Look at the soup, everybody. Look at the soup one more time. I want you all to see the soup. Look at the soup. Look how gorgeous it is. Look at all those different vegetables, the zucchini, the potatoes, the mirepoix, the broth that we did, the kale. Just break up those clusters of kale and make sure that all of the salt is getting evenly distributed throughout. I forgot the croutons. How could I forget about the croutons for the salad? I'm a little silly. I'm a little ridiculous. Okay, and let's shut off the heat. It does not need any more cook time. The potatoes are done right now. That they are. Okay, let's take it and let's ladle it in. Nice big bowl of the solids right here. And then let's get some of the broth that we spent so much time and effort into building. There it is. Ah. Okay, don't worry, we're gonna get the croutons back. Some of my fresh homemade croutons. And you saw all how easy it was to do. Can't have too many croutons on a salad. It is also kind of the best part of the salad food today. Okay, and then one last step, everybody. One last step. One last step is gonna be some more cheese on the soup itself. Some Parmesan directly. We're using the... We're getting some Parmesan directly on the top. This piece was just falling apart. I think it just got too warm. Okay. That's it. That's all there is to it. One last step though, actually. I lied. That's not all there is to it. There's one more step. Last step, everybody, is it's gonna be a little lemon. A little bit of fresh acidity right on the top. There you go. Okay, who is ready to do a final recap session? Who's ready to talk about everything that we've made today? We put a lot of time, we put a lot of effort into this. So let's talk about it all. Everybody, look at what we made today. Everything from here was from scratch. I wanted something lighter, I wanted something healthier. But we gave everything a lot of love, we gave everything a lot of attention. This is simple, delicious home cooking. It wasn't technical, but we gave everything a lot of love. Kale, tomato soup with potatoes and zucchini and aromatics. Carrots, onions, celery. We chopped it up small dice. We fried it in olive oil so that it melts in, it gets nice and sweet, and we build a lot of flavor through the soup. We added in red pepper flakes and garlic, and we fried it in all that beautiful fat. We added in the tomatoes. We added in a bunch of liquid, and then we added some kale, we added some potatoes, we added a splash of soy sauce for a bit of extra oomph, and we added the zucchini for texture. We garnished the top of it with some Parmigiano Reggiano and my lemon juice. Look at the salad. Home-cooked garbanzo beans, home-cooked chickpeas. Because we don't mess around with store-bought canned chickpeas. It's too expensive and it's too mushy. So we pressure cooked it. We chopped up some red onions and we soaked it in lemon juice to remove this pungency. We chopped up some tomatoes and we salted it to get rid of the excess water. We added together the chickpeas, we added together the tomatoes, we added together the onions, we added in some lemon juice, some garlic oil, and we made home-cooked croutons. Store-bought croutons are overpriced for a sack of bread, and they're stale, and they just don't have the taste of fresh homemade ones. It's such a nice way to use up leftover bread. Everybody, let's have a bite. Let's have a bite of the salad first. We're gonna start with the salad. Chickpeas, onions, and tomatoes, and lemon juice, and all these lovely croutons. Let's get a little bite of everything all together. Right, there we go. Ah. Mm. Mm. Homemade croutons are so easy to do. The crunch of it is amazing. You can even stab through them sometimes if you do it right. That's a lovely salad. Acidic and salty. I mean, it has everything you want. And then look at this vegetable soup. Look how healthy this vegetable soup is. How much will I charge for it? For the cost of ingredients out of your movie, like $40. Okay, let's try some of the soup. Look how healthy it is. Look at all of these vegetables. Look at the potatoes. Look at the kale. Look at the tomatoes. Completely vegetarian. In fact, this would have been vegan without the addition of the Parmesan cheese on top. I just love Parmesan cheese on top of soups. Oh, this is simple. Home cooking. Flavorful, acidic. I mean, this has everything that you want in a vegetable soup. It's cold outside. Warm yourself up with a bowl of vegetable soup. I showed you how to do it. You can do it with your own vegetables. You can do it with, whatever you have in your fridge to get rid of. It's healthy. It's delicious. I mean, it's incredible. It's so simple, but it's so delicious. Nice and spicy from the red pepper flakes as well. And that's it. Everybody, for those of you that have not already done so, please check out my Patreon. Type in exclamation mark Patreon, scroll down, go into the About section. I could use some help making these streams a full-time thing. I want to teach you all how to cook full-time. Oh, excuse me, my nose. I want to teach you all how to cook full-time. I want to be able to do this full-time. I want to be able to teach you. I want to be able to help you. I want to help home cooks. So please support the Patreon if you can. Any amount there helps. Alternatively, you can subscribe. You can type in exclamation mark tip or donate. All of it goes back into the stream at this point. You can also join the Discord. If you haven't joined the community Discord, exclamation mark Discord. There is also a private Patreon only Discord if you do the second tier or above. If you just want some more one-on-one interaction with me. And if you just want to be able to help support the channel. Everybody, final questions. Final call right now. Now is your time to ask me any cooking questions. Next stream is going to be this Wednesday, 5 p.m. EST, as always. I'm going to be uploading the new schedule, though, because we're going to have a couple of date changes, I think. So be on the lookout for that. But this Wednesday is staying the same. Every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 5 p.m. EST. Okay. Who is currently live at the moment? I mean, I see Roses. We're going to go ahead and read Rose after this. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you all have a really, really good Sunday night. Hope you all have a good Sunday night. I want you all to take care. I want you all to be safe. I want you all to be happy. I want you all to be healthy. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting the stream. Thank you for supporting the cooking show. Wednesday, 5 p.m. EST. Be there or be a squid. And you don't want to be a squid above all else. Yeah.